longer, I mean, there might be some of them who are still on their way, but they are here already, killing our people. We cannot just say because they are from this sect or they are from this religion. Some of those persons from Gabon, I believe, I'm not sure, I'm just saying, perhaps some of them are Christians, some of them might be Muslim, but the Christians in the Nigerian team didn't say, we are going to allow them to win because they are Christians, or maybe they have Muslims there. The Muslims in the Nigerian team wouldn't say, we are going to allow them to win because they are Muslims. Idea here is we are going to work together as a team. We must beat Gabon. And that is the mindset Nigerians should have. So this idea that we are going to protect somebody who is not a Nigerian, who come into our country and kill our people, and we are comfortable about it, say, no, we're not going to talk about it because my terrorist is better than your terrorist. It's absolutely nonsense. And I hope one day, if it's not too late for us to use this football that happened today, this game that happened today, this match that they played today, just use it as to think about how this country should move forward. But I mean, Mr. Ali, you raised your hand. I'm not sure if you want to respond to Mr. Solo Penja. If not, I have a question for those on the speaker session. You can go ahead, Mr. Ali.
Thanks for having me once again. Mr. Pensolo, you have identified most of what I've been thinking of way back. If we look at ourselves as Nigerian, we were about 10, 15 years back, the country was peaceful. But we have some of our neighbors within Central African Republic and part of the Sahel that had similar things way back. And based on what Mr. Sulu Penja said, he clearly pointed out the problem is we allow problem to come first. By the time it overwhelmed us, there will be no solution. There will be no immediate solution. Instead, a cosmetic approach will be applied. I appreciate the fact that I have somebody that has the kind of mindset. And one other thing that I observe, that when we are expressing ourselves that we lack mostly in Nigeria is about my criminal is better than your criminal. That has never given any resourceful gain in any history, in human history. If we read, we will. There are a lot of things that comes with the same with the same resemblance that we hardly go through those things to understand. Back to how I started. Me, from all indication, I observe all I observe is that most ethnic group in Nigeria that has both faith, you find out that they are more liberal than the one that are homogeneous in nature. And this is a fact I have observed. And the other way around to solve this problem is respecting ourselves, asking a lot of questions when anything crops up. Let me flash back a little bit. You were talking about the interview of, if I'm not mistaken, Reverend John Hayab of Kan, Northern Nigeria. He spoke to some extent, but there are some things he refused to open up, which most of our leaders that are in charge of organizations of that nature are hypocritical. John Hayab himself, he is from the north central part of Kaduna, stretched to Plateau and the rest. Believe you me, there are some things that I observe that we hardly talk about. Do you know that in the same Kaduna state, there are towns that Muslim cannot stay? And those towns, at all time, you find reprisal attacks based on the initial attack that was conducted upon. And this reprisal attack don't come at once, they come unexpected. That's why you hear most of those killings. In 2011, there was in Zonkua town, Kaduna State, there was a riot. All the Muslims in the town have to run. The ones that are not fortunate have been killed. Nobody is talking about that. There was one time some Muslims were on transit through Jos. They were attacked. And all these things is not that I'm in support, but the problem is we hardly go back home to tell our people the truth. A lot of leaders have failed, be it the elected and the appointed based on faith. Believe me. And I'm saying this with proof. If you Google Zonkua town riot, you will get the number of killings, and nobody talks about it. Well, to allow others to contribute, I raise my case for now. If there's anyone that is asking me question, I have fact related to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeyu. The Peter that made reference to is not Bishop John Hayab. I'm talking about, I can't pronounce his name. The other bishop that becoming very famous now, the one from Plateau State. I mean, his surname is quite very difficult for me to pronounce. If anybody can help me pronounce helping me to pronounce his name, to mention his name. I think I wrote it somewhere. I will find it. That's the one I'm making reference to. But I saw the interview that you're making reference to. You said something that's very, very interesting. Now, you said nobody's talking about the killings. You mentioned Kaduna State. This is where I have a problem. I will tell you why I have a problem. If things like this happen and people choose not to talk about it, one cannot blame those who decided to speak about what has happened to them. Because on this platform, not only on this platform, I've seen a lot of people say, but Muslims are being killed. I'm never in support of anybody being killed. But the idea that we as a people say, what about those who have been killed? Nobody's talking about it. Somebody needs to talk about it. Right? This thing that we see happening in America, people talk about it. Somebody decided that it has to be talked about. Somebody decided that they are going to, travel to all these Western countries to say, this is the problem we are facing. And I'm making reference to Bishop Wilfred, the Bishop of Macaulay. From 2020, perhaps maybe before that, but when I started following this whole thing, from 2020, he traveled to United Kingdom. He traveled to America. He traveled to France. He traveled to all these places, saying, the people in my community are being killed. Christians in my community are being killed. And the government have not done anything to stop it. And for some reason, the American government decided to focus more on what he said. So one cannot blame him, right? I saw somebody, I'm not sure if it was on this platform or I saw it on something like that, who's saying that the Muslims should put out their own reports and submit it, and let's see if the world will say, no Muslim is being killed. So those people who were killed in Kaduna State, who talk about it? Nobody needs to speak about it. And if somebody chooses not to speak about it, we cannot blame those who decided to speak about their own killings. Now, one of the things that this Bishop did, he managed to get a lot of groups It's not something that he only himself. But the report is out there. If you've seen the report of the silent slaughter, he was part of this. At a point, if you read that report, you have not send it to you. You can go through it. You see that this Kaduna State that you mentioned, people need to put the report together. You say you have evidence. Put the report together. Get your people, get the people you believe that can do it, that can put it out there. Let them send it to any other country. Let them put the report and say, Muslims in Kaduna being killed as well. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Hello?
Yeah, I understand.
Uh-huh.
I'm with you.
Yeah, so it is that important. It is important. But if there's any other person that would like to add anything based on what I said, or you have any question for Mr. Ali, please do raise your hand, and then I will pass the mic to you. I think I can see. Oh, thank you very much. So it's Mr. Reverend Ezekiel Achoma. I cannot pronounce the last name. I don't want to butcher it. That's the one I'm referring. So those on the speaker section, guys, please, if you want to ask a question, or if you want to respond to myself or Mr. Ali, please do raise your hand, and then I will then pass the mic to you as we continue the conversation. This topic is not ending anytime soon, right? As I said earlier, there's a lot of things going on in the timeline. I'm not interested in who have a cat or who have a dog. That's none of my business, right? I'm focusing on what really matters to me. Mr. Ali, raise your hand. Is that a question, sir? Do you want to respond? Mr. Ali, you raised your hand, sir.
Sorry, it was an error.
Thank you very much. So, let's go, Mr. And I believe Mr. Nka, you have the mic. Good evening, sir.
I just sent you the name of the man, of the pastor from Plateau State, Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo. The issue we are discussing is an issue that affects Nigeria, whether it's Al-Majri from the north, whether it is hooligans from the south. Once we do not take care of people, it will fight back. I know there's a popular writer that said that a time will come when the poor will have nothing to eat but the rich. And I think that time has come in Nigeria. And a lot of people don't know. Because today the poor is eating the rich. This issue we are discussing about genocide, and religious hatred and division is what is killing Nigeria. It started by talking about religion and politics. I believe you can never separate religion from politics. Neither can you separate politics from religion. But they go together. There's no politician that doesn't believe in something, even though they say they are atheist. Atheism itself is a religion. It all depends on how you handle what you believe. Religion is designed so we have one God who said we must worship him. But he never forced people to worship him. If you worship him, he will repay you. If you don't worship him, you will get the result of your decision. But it is not in the hand of a man to fight for God. Whenever a man begins to fight for God, it means that his God is weak or probably does not exist. Because I believe that God is too powerful to defend himself. That our human beings are very powerful to defend ourselves. How much more God? But what we see here is that people take laws into their hands. Let me please tell you one thing about where I come from. You know, we talk of most time in this country, Muslim, Christian, Muslim, Christian. If you go to the north, the problem we have in the north is Muslim Christian majority. But if you go to the south, especially east where I come from, the problem we have in the east is Christian pagans. Most of us, just like many Christians today from the north, probably some of them converted from Islam to Christianity. In the south, many of us converted from pagan to Christianity. Some eventually went back to paganism again. But where I come from, let me use my own community, for example.
Sorry, have we lost the speaker, Mr. Nka? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it appears we lost him, right? Okay.
Yes.
That's very yesterday he had the same problem. So let me quickly pass the mic to Wake Up Africa as we wait for Mr. Nka to rejoin us. Wake Up Africa, you have the mic. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mindset, and good evening, everyone on the platform. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on your space once again. I requested the mic, obviously, when you were responding to the issue of, some people saying, why is nobody talking about some other people that too are being killed? I requested the mic because it is something that I've also pondered about for a very long time. And the issue is that is exactly what is wrong with Nigeria. Anytime you come out and say, this is what is happening to me, or this is what is giving you problem, and this is what you want somebody or government to address, somebody will come and tell you, oh, well, why is it now that you want to say it? What about when this person was in power? Or what about this? Or what about that? It's very common for you to hear that in any, issue that arises in Nigeria. There will be people who will be there. They think that to speak up is not their responsibility. That it is somebody else's responsibility to speak out for somebody else's, but you are not allowed to say your own because somebody's own is not being said. You see, and that is a very, very big problem. And it's also applicable to many. For instance, if you come out now and say, oh, look, I don't like the way Tinubu is running the country. Oh, somebody will come and tell you, what about when Jonathan, your brother, was there? Why did you not talk? And then you ask yourself, how are things gonna move forward? Now, Pastor Ezekiel was on News Central, and the man was on fire. The man was fearless, and he talked about his people, and he even also talked about some Muslims also who are also going through persecutions in the north. He also brought to light the fact that there are different Muslim sects that are fighting each other. He asked a fundamental question. He says, well, if you say that Muslims have been killed as well, and then the question he asked, by who? He said, people should come out and tell them how Muslims are being killed and who are the ones killing the Muslims. So, this thing of trying to shut a man up because he has dedicated his life to speaking up for his people, and then, the Nigerian way, oh, you want to show that you're the only one that is wise. So you should shut up like everybody else shuts up, and then let's just carry on as if nothing is going on. It's a fundamental problem in the way Nigerians do things. And that's the reason why collectively, things will be happening. Collectively as a people will not come up to say anything. Everybody will just be saying, oh, it concern me. Oh, it not concern me. After all, now my brother there for power now, or I don't want to do anything that will jeopardize his interest and the rest of it, even if it's not that. But that is just the way, things has been going on in that country. But the truth remains that, look, whether anybody wants to believe it or not, or whether anybody wants to, have a different opinion or not, the fact remains that there are Christians in the Middle Belt and in some parts of the North that are being targeted because of their faith, to eliminate them, take over their place, and further the control of Islam in the belt. That is the fact. It for this particular thing, they do it for a lot of other things. And the fact is that, in every situation I found myself hearing these people talking about that, I always push back. You do not have a country like that. So whenever somebody comes and says, "Oh, this is what is hurting me," you tell them, "Oh, it is hurting somebody else." I remember. Sorry, man said I've closed my eye while I'm talking. So when you raise your hand, please say something so I'll know that my time is up. Anyway, I was just gonna make this. So I had to stop watching TV, politics hangout. And my reason was this. Somebody, there's a man there that is called somebody Otito. He said, "Oh, this guy that is agitating for IPOB, you are saying that they are being marginalized. Oh, why is he talking about they are being marginalized? Everybody in Nigeria is being marginalized. It's hurting them." You tell them, "Oh no, oh, it's not happening to you," or if it's happening to you, it's happening somewhere else. So, Annie, look, up till now, right? We have not seen any tangible thing that is being done by the government today to address this. Somebody asks Daniel Bwala, why is your president or your employer, who is president, talking to the people of this country about what is happening? Why is it that people are complaining
All
day
right.
in, day out? Okay, all right then. Okay, so I'll just round up with that. Why is the president not talking to people? He needs to come out and address people. I'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much, myself.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful submission. Before I pass the mic to the person who raised their hand, somebody's name is Noski Shonoski. I hope I'm not butchering your name. So why is it that opposing views are never allowed on mindset organized spaces? I think you're in the wrong mindset spaces because if you're on this platform or if you're joining this platform, you understand that everybody's view is welcome, right? So you're in the wrong place. Maybe this is not the right mindset. Maybe you have a different mindset or you have a different that you're following. Absolutely. Okay. I don't know even think you're following the handle. So you're in a place. Maybe you can look at the mindset that you're making reference and all this platform. Everybody's allowed to speak their mind. Please, those on the speaker section, have anybody kick you out because you're speaking your mind. Whether you're from the Muslim, you're from the killers, sorry, for you support the killing, you're against the killing, you're for the killing, you're not for the killing, you're for the Muslims, you're for the Christian. Have anyone kick you out? So, Mr. Noski, I think you find yourself in the wrong place. Perhaps you can't look for that mindset that you're looking for. It's not me. Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Udoka, you have the mic. Good evening.
Thank you so very much. This will be the first time I'm going to be talking on your space. I want to appreciate everybody that that is here. So what I want to talk about is the topic here is saying religion and politics in Nigeria. We have an issue with these two themes, religion and politics. Religion is supposed to be the part of people's life, something that people value much. And then politics is about how a group of persons are able to control the affairs of the general population. Now, these two things, if they are not married well, they keep causing problems, the pain for which Nigeria keeps suffering. Now, you cannot have a country whereby the religion trumps the law, the laws of the land in some sections of the country. Now, you could see some persons make some inflammatory comments on platforms like X, and these are people that work with government, and then our government they sit so comfortably without rebuffing such statements. Passively, they are emboldening people who are uninformed, because when you see a statement made by somebody saying that he is supporting blasphemy, death penalty for any blasphemy, now, and you just that tells you this is somebody that is working for government, and not the government does not come out to to discredit such statement by someone that is looked up by a lot of persons. It's passively emboldening people, making people understand that, okay, there is another law that trumps the law of the land. These things are ways. People that are very close to government should always advise them, always stand, go through social media, all right? Because this is an era of social media. People make comments, and whatever people make form opinions that that others tend to hold government accountable for. To always go revolve, discredit such inflammatory comments that try to divide or passively plant into people's mind that there are laws that that trump the law of the nation. Okay. Now talking about the current situation of genocide, I think what we can do now as a people, because I know that most of us here are not part of government that can control this. Most of us here are not military. The thing I advise that we should do is to lend your voice. Okay, do not just sit and say because this thing is not affecting you, you are just going to relax. Or maybe because okay, your persons, your people were, you know, were treated the same way some time ago, and nobody talked about it. You're going to relax. It's not going to help us. Injustice to one is injustice to all. Life is a very precious gift. When the life of a person is taken and uh, you do not, it does not pain you. Believe me, these things that go around comes around. What we can do at this point is to speak up, okay? Lend your voice so that people will know that, oh, you are affected by what is happening to your brother. That's the way we, we show this sense of unity we are talking about, okay? We cannot here to show sense of unity when a section of our country is saying that is passively protecting terrorism. Okay, and the other section is the only section talking about this thing. There is genocide in the country, please. Let us call it what it is. Maybe by uniting together and talking about this, echoing it, the government will step up and act to stop it. Okay. And another thing is what I do not like is the situation where our military force that is supposed to be the at the forefront, waging war against this jihad, these terrorists are being infiltrated by extremists. This is not is uncalled for. I'm just using this opportunity to enjoin people that are very close to government to talk to these people. Let our military be independent, that such that they'll be able to work without being sabotaged. That's my submission. Thank you so very much for the audience.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kudota, for your wonderful submission. I really enjoyed listening to you. Is it the thing here is this? A lot of people tell you, no, it doesn't matter. We're from different tribe. We're from different. This thing is not going to work. Work if we want it to work, right? Before I pass the mic to the next speaker, in 1994, if I'm not mistaken, there was a country called Rwanda. Quite a number of us have know what happened in Rwanda. The Tutsi and the other tribe, they were killing themselves for such a small country, right? Rwanda is very, very small and it's an interlocked country, right? Now they were killing themselves because they are from different tribes and everything. But looking back right now, Rwanda is relatively peaceful. I saw a video about 3 years ago when somebody posted a video online, not me. I've not been to Rwanda, saying it's about 12 o'clock midnight in Rwanda, but people are just walking freely and the lights are everywhere. Now you look back and ask yourself, is it the same Rwanda that were killing themselves? Is it the same people that were murdering themselves because they're from different tribes? But for some reason, they managed to find a way to make the country work. Can Nigeria will work. It's possible. It is possible that this country will work. You want it to work. And how we can do that is saying, this person is a criminal. It doesn't matter if this person is from my religion. This person is is a criminal, is a terrorist. That person there is a murderer. Doesn't matter whether they're my family member or they're from my religion or they're from my tribe. If we're able to do so, then we come to we come to that realization that it's us against these elements, then the country will work. But the day if we continue this way by shielding them because they speak the same language as us, they do the same thing as us, we cannot betray ourselves. You're not betraying anybody. You're betraying, you are helping a criminal. If a criminal speaks your language, you think you're going to defend them. You're not doing them any favor, because at a point, when they finish killing the other people, they look around, there's not another person to kill, they perhaps come back and kill you. It's how these guys work. So what I'm saying in a sense is this: we as a people need to speak out more. That is one thing I want us to do, whether you're into Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're Hindu, whatever. Any criminal you find around yourself, call them out, because they're not doing you any justice, right? On that note, I'll pass the mic to Sisani, if I pronounce your name properly, sir. Sisani. It's Mr. Sisani. You have the mic, sir. Policy-driven, issue-oriented. Okay, this is the problem. When somebody's on the platform and you call them to speak and they're not responding, that's not a good thing. All right, let's go back to Chifre. You have the mic. Good evening, sir.
Are you not hearing me?
Okay, Chifre, please mute your mic for a minute. No, I wasn't able to hear. I can hear you.
Are you with me now?
Yes, we are with you.
Are you with me?
We are with you. Good
evening. Thank you very much for this opportunity. In fact, I strongly appreciate this forum, and I'm very happy, even though I'm attending it for the first time, but I've heard so many speakers that have spoken so eloquently about issues. I'm one of the old school type, and I've had various comments, and that they are germane, and they needed to be addressed in this country in order for us to move forward. I don't want to dwell on the blame game of who does this. Everybody knows what is right, and what is wrong. And we know we all can identify it and can proffer solution to how these issues can be addressed. Now, the question is, what are we supposed to be doing in this country? For example, the pastor that went to the US and the UK and complained, he was right in his own way. He was absolutely right. His people were being killed, and nobody is saying anything about it. If on the other side, the Muslims are being killed and they are not talking about it, it's their own cup of tea. And he felt that his own people are being killed, and without no just cause, and the government is not doing anything about it, and he needs to cry out for help to come from anywhere. And he's not the only person. I have seen so many of them crying out loud about this thing, and they are right. They are not wrong. They are not making. They are not impugning the territorial integrity or the sovereignty of this country. No, what they are actually doing is showing the failure of governance in this country. People need to live up to expectations. People need to do away with primordial sentiments and thinking along tribal or ethnic lines. Let us look for the best. I am glad that the host spoke about Rwanda. I was there during the crisis in Rwanda, and I was there after the crisis in Rwanda. And if you look carefully, you will see how beautiful that country is. We don't need to go through that crisis in order to make Nigeria beautiful. In fact, we are a country of 200 something million people. We are perfect for anything in this world. We are perfect for anything. Even if we don't have no resources, our human resources is enough to galvanize us into action and become one of the best countries in the world. Because we have one of the best brains on the African continent. But we have not been able to harness and go beyond, our what do I call it? Our cocoons, to make sure that if the best is in the Igbo man, give it to him, because it will be for the benefit of us. If the best is in the Ijo man, give it to him. If it is the best is in the Kanuri man, give it to him. Nigerians have excelled all over the world. Go to the United States of America today. 65% of the best medical doctors that are in operation in the United States of America from the African continent are Nigerians. 35% of the economic gurus in the United States of America are from Nigeria. And so we are all over the world. You get the point? We are in control of Africa only if we know it. We lead the way. We open the path for people to follow. But we are not doing that. Because in this country today, if you are not from my tribe, you are an enemy that must be crushed. If you are not from my religion, you are an enemy that must be crushed. Until we get over this thing. Now the question is, how do we provide solution to this problem? And it's true. Most of these people from the Sahelian region are coming into Nigeria because this is where the market is. If it is business, this is where the market is. If it is crime, this is where the market is. And that is why you find out these foreign elements coming into Nigeria to perpetuate crime. And if they are pursued, they're not back into their to across the border, we cannot pursue them. And we are having stringent relationship with countries that are around Nigeria. Why? Because they envy us. They know we are capable of anything. And they are not happy with it. And we just sit down on our oars and try to blame ourselves for things that we need to harness both our resources and our intelligence, and then do the needful for our country and for ourselves. As I said, I'm of the old generation. I have served my country for 32 years in the southern part of this country. I know every corner of the southern part of this country. And while in service, I was treated like a king. What I mean by like a king, that I socialize with people, I go to their houses, they appreciate me for coming here. They do that. In this country, what we have failed to do with regards to religion is in the fact that we have failed to introduce religion to one another. For example, when I was in school, we have a topic in sociology where we discuss, issues relating to socialization of persons and communities, and the religion came into play. We did a subtle comparative analysis of the things that we needed to do with regards to religion to bring our people together. But what is happening today? If you talk about my religion, I only believe that you are talking in the negative. If I talk about your own, you also equally believe that I'm talking in the negative. We have no institution where you can find the religions meeting and rubbing minds harmoniously. Today, if you said you are going to produce Islamic studies in Enugu, it will be a hell of a crisis. If you say you are producing, you are going to introduce Christianity in Katsina, all hell will break loose. Why? Why? Introduce it. If I know what you do and you know what I do, that is the beginning of respect for one another. But we talk about respect for one another, and yet we don't do the things that will actually bring about the respect. They come in naturally, but you need to do some subtle diplomacy in order for people to appreciate you for who you are, and you appreciate me for who I am. And from there, we have a starting point of how to make a good relationship. On an individual basis in this country, you can have as many people as possible that are friends one to another, and they are sharing different religions, probably because they work together or they are in business together. And the trust in business is there. The trust in personal relationship is there. But then why trust in religious matters and trust in the Nigerian project? Very difficult to achieve in this country. I mean, until we begin to do something along that line, I think we'll only be talking and talking and talking, even though the talking is good. People expressing their minds is very perfect, but we need to do more. We need to do more in terms of our interpersonal relationship, and then looking at the institution that divide us. I can tell you, I'll give you an example. A very good friend of mine in Onitsha invited me at that big Catholic church to come and be his best man. I'm an Alaji. When I went there as his best man and Igbo man, people were surprised. They were looking at me. But they didn't know the extent of my relationship with him. And when he was explaining it to them, even the pastor was appreciative of the fact that he has picked me as his best man to come to his wedding. This is how relationship starts. Not that you hide and talk, and when it comes to playing the practical game of relationship and socialization, you said you make choice of your own people as against other people. So, I mean, there's so much to do, so much, because we have done so much damage to both our psychic and our relationship in this country, that we need to take time enough. We need to take time enough to reflect on it and agree that we need to do something and do something good. Because I can tell you, this is a very interesting country. There are so much that you can achieve. I'm telling you, even if this country, we have made it good enough, I'm telling you, all our people that are in the diaspora will not be in the diaspora. They will be at home here. We have everything it takes to become one of the greatest countries in the world. But I think along the line, I don't know how we are missing the point, and we are not making the right impact, and are not bringing in the correct solution to our problem. Our diversity is supposed to be our strength. At most, it is now more like a cost on us. You understand? Our belief in God is supposed to be, I mean, a spirit that is imbibed in us to do more for everyone. But unfortunately, we're not doing anything about that. I think the host, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk. And I believe that more of this will help us to do a great thing for this country. Thank you very much, and God bless everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sesani. Please correct me, so I do not want to pronounce your name the wrong way. It's Mr.
No,
Sesani.
it's correct.
All right, thank
It's
you.
correct.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening. I mean, listening to you reminded me of what I've been saying on this platform. Some of us enjoyed Nigeria. When I say enjoyed Nigeria, we had the opportunity to enjoy what relatively one would say is much better than what we have right now. You know, and I talk about this, and sometimes people would think, no, it's a poverty mentality. No, it wasn't poverty, man, it was fun. Entering buses and going to different places. You know, if you're traveling from the east to Kano, you stop, you know, at the bus stop there, you know, at the bus garage there. It was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed Nigeria. I really do, and I hope someday we are all going to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves, how did we get to where we are? Because the day we realize that we have a problem, we start looking for solutions. Some of us are still, for some reason, we still believe we don't have a problem because we don't want to call out the injustice, or we don't want to call out the criminality, because some of these individuals operating these things are people from our own religion or from our own ethnic groups. But the day we realize that as a people, we must speak out and get rid of this cancer, then we are going to move forward. But on that note, I will pass the mic to Chief Ray. Chief Ray, you have the mic. Thank you for allowing Mr. Sesani to speak before you. You have the mic, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure listening to you, and then speaking sparingly whenever I can. I've listened to a lot of very good speakers. I think I will just try and keep mine as short as possible. I wanted to build on what Mr. Sisani said. However, the direction of my speech is directed to the Northerners mainly. I think that most times there's a lot of dishonesty in Nigeria. It's not limited to the North, though. I know I said I'm directing my comments to the Northerners, but Nigeria in general is a very dishonest society. It's getting worse. We have not even turned the corner. The all the talk about diversity being a positive trait is not true. I mean, if you look at the timeline, the evidence is very clear and is not positive at all. those of us who are not in Nigeria don't even want to associate with what's going down there, to be honest. And a lot of people are on the out rather than inward looking. So the sooner we start, telling ourselves the truth, the better. Mindset, I wanted to propose for the series that you have opened regarding these killings. I was trying to say that I'm proposing to you that it appears, from my observation, that too often people only try to respond to arguments by others, and they attack the speaker, just like we have seen everyone from the north coming to say no. There's also killings involving Muslims. There's not only Christians. You they fail to engage the actual point that is being made by the bishop, who has tried to force himself into that conversation space, and he's drawing a lot of attention. So I was thinking that if we want to utilize all your efforts in creating this series for this space, that if we want to add value, uh, is it possible that we could dedicate at least the first hour to hearing directly from people who are the victims in these northern communities that have been affected? If we can have a Muslim that has a direct impact as a result of these assaults, and then we have a Christian, give us account of what happened. We can chronicle all this. I think that way the victim's voice comes first, and not people who are trying to obfuscate the stories. Without the noise of all these folks who weren't there, they jump in with ad hominem attacks. I'm hoping that we can actually approach the series with that mindset. I think it's something that I just thought I should mention it to you. It's something for you to consider. If you make it that way, it will add value for me at least. I don't know, maybe some other person. But coming here to repeat the same thing, we obviously know we don't like ourselves because people come here and say, "Let's be brothers." We're not. Uh, the next thing you see, East attacking West, West attacking North. North says, "Oh, we are they're aligning with the West," and then it's all false. So the dishonesty is too much, and it's suffocating. I'm hoping that with these current events that have occurred, if anything else, let's let's benefit from all the time we're spending in these forums. At least let us have the actual stories from victims who had these experiences. That is what I wanted to suggest to you. I think I'll just leave it at that. Thank you though, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chief. I hope I pronounce your name the right way. So you talked about hearing from victims. For the past 1 week, if not more than 1 week, that we've been having this conversation, we have had a lot of people who have told us their stories. And Mr. Nkai is here. He told us the story about what happened when they were driving somewhere in the north, in the middle belt. Right? I've forgotten the place. So, and then we have others who have told us stories where they, when they were studying in the north. I think Barrister Henry was here when he spoke. So I do not know who who have encountered these things. So what I do as a person is I open up the platform, people request for the mic, I give them opportunity to speak. So I do not go around asking somebody, have you gone through this problem and everything? Yesterday was quite a very interesting day because we had a lot of persons. Barrister Henry talked about his time in Bauchi. He talked about the story that the school that he went to, how at the point they have to be given cutlass to be able to protect themselves, right? So that's the best I can come up with. If anybody knows anybody who have gone through anything, the platform is open for everyone to be part of it. Now, some person sent me a message. I said, "Are we going to have a space tonight?" I said, "Oh, yeah, of course we're going to have a space." Oh, because of what's going on, there's a lot of things going on. Do you think there's going to be people are really might not be interested in it? And I made it very clear. I'm not opening spaces for people, right? Everybody have a right to start to listen to whatever work for them. But you see this particular topic, I will open up a space. If it's only myself or one other person, I will continue the platform, right? So I don't know who has gotten these problems. If anybody My email is there. I have an email address. Send me an email and say, I have this person who wants to talk. Come and join the platform. Mr. Tifre, you raise your hand. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I just wanted to respond to your comment. I'll just try and keep it short as well. I know a lot of people want to see something. So anyway, I was trying to direct my comment at the Northerners in our presence here. The reason being that I've heard a lot of people from the Middle Belt. I've heard a lot from the Christian victim perspective. I've heard nothing from a direct victim on the northern side. So I'm hoping that people like Iowa, who I've heard several times, advocate for them, or whoever it is that is listening, it would be best for Nigerians to also hear directly from somebody who has a direct relative that was, you know, impacted by this, because most times we're all conjecturing. People just come and give us stories like the story we had, even when I joined this space. Somebody said something happened there, and that was it. It doesn't tell anything. It doesn't convey nothing. There is no emotion that is triggered, so people cannot relate to that. If we have somebody who actually lived that experience, come to the space and give us an account of what transpired, I don't think there will be any need for anybody to come and say, "Oh, it's only Christians, or it's Muslim, or what aboutism," and then we waste time going back and forth and all that. So that's actually what I meant. I didn't mean that we had to start, advertising for anybody. I know um, some people come on here and say, "Oh, I know somebody directly. I'll ping him if he's able to join the space and then give an account of what happened." That's all I expect. I didn't mean that you have to put out a billboard or anything to say that. But thanks anyway.
And thank you very much. So we actually have two individuals. I think one of them is on this platform. Haruna has actually told us how these criminals affected his farm, right? His business. He's a farmer, right? So he's not able to go back to the farm. I'm not sure how if he is able to go back right now. So I'm not sure if you're on the platform the day he told us that story. Now we did have Comrade Mo who spoke about when Boko Haram started, how they killed a lot of people in his community and some of his family members, right? And then they managed to take over please, I do not want to misquote him, but it would appear that they took over a family house, right? And they killed a lot of people. So we have had some Northerners who have been on this platform who have told us the story that this thing have impacted them directly, right? Perhaps we were not on this platform that day, but I do understand where you're coming from. So those on the speaker section, if there is anybody who have suffered, the injustice of this criminal, this terrorist, please, you can get them on board. We want to hear from them. I like what Mr. Tifre said. I think that would help us as well. Thank you very much for that suggestion. On that note, I would pass the mic to Mr. Ikechukwu. You raise your hand. Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, if I may come in, your line is. Can you mute your mic for a minute, please? Let me address it. Your line is not clear. I'm not sure if it's from my end. I hope every other person can hear you. It appears that the volume is down. Are you able to put it up? I'm not sure what the problem is.
Are you hearing me now?
Perfect. Please go ahead.
So I was speaking about religion. That is our topic tonight, and politics, how it affects us. Some people say the problem we have in this country is religion. Some people say the politics is not working fine. But I don't think our problem is religion. And our problem is not politics. Our problem is how we manage them. Because as far as we live on earth, it is difficult to remove religion from politics. They go together. Every man you see on the street believes in something, even if he's an atheist. Atheism itself is a belief. So when you are in a society, everybody has what he believes. I was not telling you how we stopped a fire that wanted to burn in our community. I'm from the southeast. which we can apply in this country, and there will be peace. But some people refuse to accept it. The problem we have in the Southeast, many people don't talk about it, but it's a problem, is the problem between the pagans and Christianity. The pagans were there before Christianity came. So Christians began to multiply. They began to multiply. So there are traditional things where problem will come in. Let somebody wants to marry. Maybe he say, I'm a Christian, I don't drink beer, especially those who are Pentecostals, evangelicals. They say, I don't drink beer. I don't smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes. So this thing was causing problem. Somebody will die, maybe a man, and the wife will do certain rituals. Now this person is now a Christian. He said, no, my faith forbid me from doing this or doing that. So the community came together. The whole community, I come from a community of 8 big villages. The town union wrote a new constitution that everybody should be allowed to practice his faith. Idol worship bound the community before then. But now that we have so many sons who are now Christians, we have to allow them to practice their faith. So we now have to call born again list for marriage, non-born again list for marriage. We have what is called burial list for born again, burial list for non-born again. There was peace, and there is still peace in my community as we speak. Because once there's a case, is he born again? They say, yes, okay, give him his list. Is he not born again? Oh, give him his list. One time, we had a case with somebody. They called me. They said I should go and buy a carton of malt, a crate of mineral, cola nut, 200 naira. They told the other guy, go and buy a carton of beer, stout, whatever. Buy a carton of mineral, buy cola nut, buy this. You can see how, because they know my faith. I am a pastor. They know I can never compromise it. Neither would I allow the other people to do. This is how we coexist where I come from, and they are happy. Whenever we raise the matter of religious coexistence in this country, there are people that will say others must do what they say, whether they like it or not. Some people have said they are pointing their finger to the north. I'm among them. The north, I mean, is the radical Islamic belief that is plaguing this country. Unless we can lay this aside and manage it and know that the country is evolving. I have a lot of Muslim friends who are even Fulanis. My effort is if I decide they should join me as a Christian, if that is my desire, my behavior will convert them. I don't need to force them. They like me. They will over time join me. Sometimes they will tell me, they say, Pastor, if everybody do the way you do, Nigeria will be okay, the world will be fine. I say it's not the grace of God. What I want to say is, let us come out from hypocrisy, wickedness that is being masqueraded with religion. No man that is a good man that is going to hurt his fellow. The Bible says, love does not make ill to his neighbor. A man that claims he loves Nigeria, he wants the progress of Nigeria, we know more about slaughtering people or even supporting it in the first place. It is abomination. Religion and policy, we go together. No matter how we fight it, no matter how we preach about it. But how do we manage it? We must know people believe something else that is sacred to them. We must allow them to believe what they believe. we must allow them to go on with it. If they choose to kill us, they will do that by their own personal decision and be responsible for the outcome. But to force to it, it will be like they will be there in present, but in their mind they are not there. Problem we have in this country is that you see in this platform, each time we raise the issue of genocide killings, so people will be drawing us behind. They want to give us reasons why that should not be spoken. Somebody said in this platform, why must it be called a genocide? And why must it not be called a genocide? What problem do you have when it's called a genocide? Does it bother you? If it does bother you, then your hands are not clean. The proverb I played said that when a woman cries so much about the death of her friend, it's a sign as if she's the one that killed the man. The way some of us, some people in this country are crying, this time people are raising an alarm that something is hurting them, something is hurting them, and they want to suppress that voice so that we are able to live together. I will advise us to repent so that we can move forward. I rest my case, myself.
All right, thank you very much. Sorry, sir. Can you put your mic, please, sir? All right, Mr. Solomon, are you ready?
Yes, thank you very much, Mindset, for an opportunity. I just wanted to speak to something that I believe has been a misconception, not on these spaces, but in the conversation around this issue. The legality of Sharia and the legality of blasphemy, at least to the extent of our laws. I think people seem to have the misconception that Sharia is unconstitutional, but that's not correct. The Nigerian constitution allows for Sharia because Sharia is the basis of the rules that guide the life and the conduct of Muslims. So when the constitution allows people to practice their religion, it allows for the Muslims to also enjoy Sharia. For states which wants to apply Sharia, to do that, for Muslims who want to apply to live by Sharia to do that because it is their religion. But it limits it to Islamic personal law, which includes issues like marriage, nikah, talaq, divorce, hadana, custody of children, trade, gifts, such civil, mainly civil matters, and then it expressly ousts jurisdiction over punishments, hard punishments, it's HADD, which are punishments that are capital in nature. You know, so I think it's a gross misconception people have that Sharia is not allowed by our constitution. And I think it is ridiculous that anyone would think that Sharia should be taken out of the laws of Nigeria. It is what it is. It's part of the constitution as is, but limited to Islamic personal laws, as I've said. And then on the constitutionality of blasphemy, because the constitution, this is my thinking, because the constitution allows for the freedom of religion and the right of speech, and because the rules for application of Sharia is limited only to Muslims, it's applicable only to Muslims. That is where that interlock causes problem most times, because when the constitution allows for Sharia, it is limited only to Muslims, such that states which create Sharia courts by law of a House of Assembly or area courts, as you have in some other jurisdictions which do not have Sharia penal codes, let's say, one basic requirement is that anybody who is not a Muslim and who has not submitted himself to the jurisdiction of the court cannot be tried under Sharia. If people remember the shop owner over, I think, a week or two ago, who was crying on the media that his property was taken over because a tenant was indebted to somebody was taken over on the orders of a Sharia court. A point he was making, or a point people who understood he was making, was that the man, apart from not even participating in the proceedings, is not a Muslim, and as such cannot be bound by the jurisdiction of the Sharia court. So only Muslims are bound, or Sharia is applicable to Muslims. But the problem now comes with the application of the rules. In societies where you have a large, or do I say predominant Muslim populations, oftentimes they tell you it's only for Muslims. It doesn't affect just the Christian. But in practice, in application, the law is extended most times to affect and apply to non-Muslims too, which is where the problem comes in, and which is where one would have expected that the federal government, through the Attorney General, would bring clarity. I give a few instances. If you say, for example, now alcohol is banned under Sharia, and many of us will be aware that states like Kano and Bauchi have this, and a few other states have this penchant, this proclivity to seizing alcohol, even in transit, on federal highways. Federal highway, let me emphasize, federal highway is not state jurisdiction. No state has jurisdiction over federal highways. But when they see trucks transporting alcohol on federal highways, even, regardless of the fact that it does not belong to a Muslim, regardless of the fact that it is not being consumed by people under Sharia, they enforce the Sharia law on those non-Muslims by destroying their chattel. That is a point of conflict that needs clarity. Unfortunately, the political will from the federal government to assert the supremacy of the Constitution is lacking. So you see these things happen again and again. And then on blasphemy, blasphemy is not criminalized under our Constitution, to the best of my knowledge. I stand to be corrected. But there are statutes in penal laws that punishes for offending religious sensitivities. I think the punishment for most of them is jail time, some with options of fine, depending on what the law is in particular state jurisdictions. But for Muslims, the rule, although I've heard many moderates argue that blasphemy, in short, the unanimous position of the four schools of fiqh in Sharia, the consensus of the ulama, the ijma, and the qiyas, which is an analogical deduction, is that blasphemy is punishable by shurjah, but even without an opportunity to expiate, unlike apostasy, which gives you an opportunity to recant. But the argument between moderates and extremists is that the moderates will tell you, you must bring the person to court, and the judicial process must be completed before a sanction is executed on the orders of a judge. But the extremists believe that once we hear you, even if we not even infer, if we suspect that in your mind you have thought things that is injurious to the honor of ABC, oftentimes by their own judgment, they have the right to go into mob action and lynch people. But the attitude of our courts, even though the courts agree most times that it is part of the corpus juris, it is part of the law, but the attitude of the court most times is to strike down such issues. If we can remember, I think this musician in Kano, the musician guy in Kano, the court in Kano sentenced him to die because I think he sang a lyrics which some persons felt was blasphemous, and the matter went to a high court for reasons that it is hard punishment, capital punishment, over which the Sharia court has no jurisdiction. It was set aside. The Court of Appeal upheld the decision of the High Court, and that matter is currently before the Supreme Court. And that was the case that came up some weeks ago, that the lawyer to the Kano State government had the effrontery, the cojones on the steps of the Supreme Court to warn the Supreme Court that even if the Supreme Court acquits the man, that they will execute him. So that brash, harsh statement is a manifestation of the state of mind of the demography the lawyer represents. As an educated person, you would have expected he would be more contained, more measured in his reaction. But his position is not very far from the puritanical point of view of many. And that is why you have situations like, in the case of Bridget Agbaheme, the lady who was killed in Kano, because somebody was wanting to make ablution on her staircase, and she said, no, don't do ablution here. She was murdered, right? And I think the matter was taken to court, but because the issue is systemic, because the issue is deep, there was no will to prosecute, and those persons were let go of. In Deborah, I think there were few arrests of some persons, though the main characters, the main actors, some of them who, from the information from what we read in the news then, were not Nigerians and must have fled to Niger or some other countries. Particularly the guy who was holding the match. That was the excuse that the state gave. But even the few who were arrested, there was no prosecution. So that now brings that conflict, that line, between the application of Sharia for those who are bound by it, and the freedom of religion of those who are not bound by Sharia. So if Nigeria is to solve these problems, these are conversations that need to be had. And those who have the responsibilities to take position that conform, that protects the law, that protect the republic, should not be politically correct to refuse to do the right thing because it is politically expedient for them. Some of these issues are issues that one would have expected, as I said earlier, the Office of the Attorney General to come out, give opinions. Yeah, I see your hand. Thank you. To come out, give legal opinions, to clarify issues. But we're not seeing it. So, and then to conclude, somebody made mention of the Almajiri problem last time. I think it's a problem that is prevalent in the North, and a problem which solution has to come from the North. President Goodluck Jonathan made attempts to solve that problem by bringing education closer to the children, by wanting to build about 150 schools, Almajiri dedicated schools. Unfortunately, the people who fought him the most came from the areas which should have benefited it. And then to finally conclude, we have a problem with the media. The Nigerian media is coward. The Nigerian media is politically correct. Between 2019 until the end of Buhari's tenure, I don't know if people remember, there was this attempt to criminalize people complaining about what we're talking right now as hate speech. People speaking these truths of what's happening now were termed as speaking hate speech. But pretending that something does not exist does not take away the truth that it does exist. So as we go forward, thank you very much for this opportunity for Nigerians to interface and have these conversations mindset. As we have these conversations, it is my hope that those whose responsibility it is to take nuggets to take at least, no matter how insensible what we are saying is, we hope that those whose responsibility is to solve these problems are listening and paying attention and picking points from some of these conversations and trying to help us solve these problems holistically. Thank you very much for all you do, and God bless you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Solo, for your wonderful submission. Before I can see you raising your hand, Mr. Lee, as well, and Udoka. Please, can we quickly allow justice for all to speak? Then I will quickly, then I can pass the mic to those who raised their hand. Justice, you have the mic. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I've really been waiting to make my own comment before sleep set me. Thank you, everyone, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak my mind. You know, I think we are all like beating about the bush, if I may say, in the sense that I can't see reason why people are denying the facts before everyone's eyes. Because these killings did not start today. The target did not start today. But it is something that it was happening, and some people, since it was not affecting them at earlier time, it becomes normal. And maybe when some people speak out, like the last
All right, it appears we've lost justice for all. Big Sam and Ariwa, please, if you guys can see him, if he's still requesting, can you please bring him back? On that note, let me quickly pass the mic to Ariwa, then I'll come back to Mr. Leo and Kudoka. Ariwa, you have the mic, sir.
Thank you, Mindset. Good evening to everyone on the platform. I wanted to respond to some of the things Mr. Sulupenja made mention of. You know, he made mention about the statement. For record purpose, I needed to clarify that about the lawyer who said that even if the Supreme Court didn't convict or didn't uphold that judgment, he was still he's still going to make sure that that person was killed. And I believe that that is a misquote, because if you listen carefully to what the lawyer said, you know, due to the fact that he has this strong Hausa tonation accent in his speaking, a lot of people didn't get what, the part clearly, where he said, if the Supreme Court upholds the judgment of the Sharia, that's the decision that the Sharia took, there's not going to be a case where they will not carry out that action by killing that person that was found guilty of blasphemy. So what he meant is, if the Supreme Court uphold, granted that judgment, that or give them grounds that they actually have the jurisdiction to do that, there is nothing that will stop them in carrying that out. But he wasn't outrightly saying that even if the Supreme Court, if he had that power in the first place, he wouldn't be in the Supreme Court. I think that should be common knowledge. And you see, some people carry out these activities on their own. There is outline on how these situations are supposed to be carried out. There are guidelines. You need to provide witnesses. You need to ensure non-bias and follow due process for somebody to be convicted in a Sharia setting. Like the case of Deborah, a lot of people came out and condemned the act. Even Muslims came out. I am among the people who came out and condemned that act, not because of how they carried out. They have no right to it that way, because even in a Sharia setting, there are cadis, there are ways that you have to follow. There are due process. You can't just lynch somebody for your own amusement, or just because somebody. We've had similar cases over time here in northern Nigeria, when situations like this happen. Somebody may just have differences with somebody, and he will just accuse the person of the blasphemy, and they will just find a reason to lynch that person. So a whole lot of things have been put out to get to ensure that such incidents does not repeat themselves. You know, because of course, yes, there are capital punishments in Sharia for blasphemy, but not just for anybody to carry out the judgment. There are people assigned. You know, there is a system that is designed to ensure and make sure that that person did actually did the crime that he or she is accused of. But so many people run with emotions in northern Nigeria, and when they just hear something like that, they quickly swing into action, and they just take the judgment into their own hands. It's wrong. But it doesn't cancel the fact that you need to understand and respect people's religion by avoiding to be blasphemous in such a way that if you feel like it is archaic or barbaric or anything you wish to call it, I think you can easily just not blaspheme instead, and everybody will be fine. So there's a lot of misconceptions about the Sharia, but the clear idea is, if you look at the strategy and the system that the Sharia embodies, it's not what is being carried out. Most of the things that are being carried out with the name of Sharia law, or that is what the law said in Sharia, is wrong. It's being carried out wrongly, but that's not excusing the crime that is committed in the process. So please, I think it's important that people need to get this aspect straight, that there is a system, there is a fair hearing, and there needs to be certain criteria that should be met for any judgment that will be carried out under the Sharia law. But any other thing outside this is as good as jungle justice. It doesn't do justice to Sharia law because it doesn't follow the procedures laid out by Sharia. So it's important that we understand those differences.
Thank you very much. Before I pass the mic, I can see Mr. Justice is up. Before I pass the mic back to him, and I'll come back to Olu and Leo and Abra. I have a question for you, Ariwa. Now, the Sharia law, is it meant for the Muslims, or is it meant for those who are not Muslim, but they live in the same vicinity as Muslims?
The Sharia law is meant for Muslims mindset. It is part and parcel of the teachings of Islam. The Sharia law is 100% meant for Muslim. However, there's this conflict of jurisdiction, not jurisdiction in terms of, or let me rather say location. You know, in states where they are covered with that Sharia law, there's always this conflicting issue of non-Muslims who are there who happen to commit crimes that the Sharia law feels the need to carry out judgment on that. So in circumstances like that, on numerous occasions, people are asked which they prefer, the conventional court or the Sharia court. So it's something that is ideally meant for Muslims because it is part and parcel of Islamic teachings. You know, just like every other requirement in Islam, like the Ramadan fasting, like the Hajj, the Umrah, the 5 daily prayers, and what have you, it is part and parcel of any Islamic community to have a Sharia, because it's like a disciplinary aspect of Islam that ensure and enforces, you know, some certain decorum in the activities of Muslims, and to create a kind of justice system. So it's part and parcel of Islam, and it's 100% for Muslims.
All right, so somebody who's not a Muslim and who lives in a state that is governed by Sharia law, and if for some reason the person drinks alcohol, would they be arrested?
No, definitely not mindset, but it is outlined. You know, in states, in core northern states that practice Sharia, there are guidelines on how you consume alcohol. There are locations you go to do it that is specifically meant for such thing. You don't do it in public outlets, in public transport, and you don't take it to an extent where you be, you know, staggering and come and create nuisance to the people in the environment. So there are arrangements that are made for in Kano. If you want to take beer today, there are places you go and you take. Likewise, there are other places that in northern states that are existing. So it's just that the difference is that unlike other states, you can do it as you wish, or just open location anywhere and start selling or using. In a Sharia designated state, there is an environment that is specifically created to accommodate such things, far from the settlement that of people that the government believe that could be affected or triggered. You know, to create this barrier and comfort for both parties, so that everybody can have his own privacy and space to do whatever he wants to do. But you should not make the mistake of bringing it into an environment that is not designated for such thing, or carrying it out in public spaces.
Okay, thank you very much. I have more questions, but because of time, let me quickly read out what those who are not opportune to be on the comment section. Let me quickly read out what Dogo of the North says. And myself, please kindly ask him. I mean, he's making reference to Ariwa. Those who have carried these illegal acts against Sharia law, asked if any of them have been arrested or charged for such acts. Anyway, if you can answer quickly, please, if you want to. If you don't, so I can pass the mic to the next speaker.
You know, there are so many bottlenecks surrounding the arrangement, marrying between the Constitution of Nigeria and the Sharia. And the Sharia is mostly limited on criminal cases. There are cases that go out of the jurisdiction of the Sharia. And like the perpetrators of what happened to Deborah, you see the bulk of the responsibility of bringing these people to the books lies under the Nigerian law. It is the duty of the Nigerian security outfits to ensure that these people are brought to books. So when such things are not carried out, I don't think it's a failure on the part of Sharia. I think it's a failure on the part of the Nigerian system.
Thank you very much. Please, I can see a lot of people raising their hand. Let me quickly pass the mic to sorry. No, please, you will. Please, can you please mute your mic for a minute, please? This Justice is here. He was meant to speak before, and for some reason his network kicked him out. Let's allow him to speak, then I'll come back to you guys, please. I know people want to go to bed, but let's allow others who have not contributed. Justice, you have the mic, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, I hope my network will not disturb this time. So let me leave what I was trying to say before and focus on this Sharia law.
All right, so it appears, Justice, there's nothing else I can do to help you. It appears your network is not clear. So, Solo Penda, you have to make it very quick because there are people who have not contributed and they're raising their hand. So please go ahead if you want to have a question.
Thank you very much. Quickly for Ariwa. You said clearly that Sharia is applicable only to Muslims. Now, where you have a situation where a non-Muslim is prevented from exercising constitutional rights, for example, of consuming alcohol, do you consider that as restricting his right of movement or to live in any part of the country? That's one. And then number two, if blasphemy is criminal under Sharia, do you also consider saying that Jesus is not the Son of God blasphemous of the Christian faith? Thank you.
Mansell, can I go ahead and answer the questions?
Please go ahead, sir.
All right. You see, there is an issue that people need to understand, and I think it should be very clear. There are things that they should be common sense. You know, when you find yourself in northern Nigeria, an environment whereby it's mostly, especially core northern states, that is mostly occupied by northern Muslims in such a large margin, I think it is important for one to recognize the law that is happening there. Like if I am in northern Nigeria and you are not allowed to drink in public spaces or anywhere you feel like, and then I go to southern Nigeria and I'm an environment that people now drink in public spaces and do whatever they feel like, then that I can also count that as an infringement on my own right. I don't want to see people drinking in public spaces. You know, it can be contradictory like that. So the truth is, when you are in northern Nigeria, I think it is important. It is common decency to respect the tradition of people of northern Nigeria. Since it is not said that you can take it in your house, inside your house, you can take it in these places that is designated. But since this particular settlement or this community have a kind of arrangement between themselves that majority agree on to abolish public display of such attitude, I think it is important to respect that. And going to your second question, I believe it's not blasphemous, you know, because it's a thin line. Even the Christians, to the little knowledge I have, to some extent, They actually don't believe or don't regard the issue as a direct lineage of God. So it's more of a prophet thing. So when you consider these things, and this is what Islam is saying, that he's not the son of God, and if Christianity is saying otherwise, I think it's a matter of teachings and belief that everyone should hold his aspect. So when people are saying they are making their own clarity or where they place Prophet Isa alayhi salam, that's Jesus in Christian context now, it's nothing blasphemous about it, because Christians have their own way that they place Prophet Isa alayhi salam on their own context as the son of God or a descendant or what have you. But the issue here is our own understanding and our own teaching of who he is different from the teachings and the understandings of what of how Christians portray him. So, as a Muslim, I will believe that Christians are wrong, and as a Christian, you believe that Muslims are wrong, and that is what brings a very, very critical aspect to the Quran. There is a verse in the Quran that said, "You do not worship which that I worship. I do not worship that which you worship. So you should worship what you worship, and I should worship what I worship." So it's clear in this context that you can go out and do your own religion. This is a verse in the Quran, and do it, and I can be able to do mine too. I think we can coexist like that. That is what the Quran is trying to say in that context. So I hope I answered your question.
All right, thank you very much. Let's quickly now hear from Oluwa Shala. I believe I pronounced your name properly. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. My name is Oluwa. So, I mean, I just came in midway during this conversation about religion and politics in Nigeria. So, yeah, to be honest, religion and politics should be like a separate discussion when it comes to having how to guide our society. And this has been a major issue. Like, that's been one of the major conflict issue even in around the world. Like if you check the Middle East, the Western, this has been a major issue. Most especially if you look at the Middle East issue most of the time now, it has always been the issue has always been how to infuse religion into their politics, which some of them they don't like the idea. They want it to be separate decision whereby the religion will be different from politics. So and that is why we have instability in most of these countries, like the likes of Iran, the likes of Egypt. I mean, they had issues with religion because there's a thing they call political Islam. This is what people don't know. There is political Islam, and it's quite different from Islam itself in general. Those people with ideology of political Islam, their ideology is that they want to have a whole state whereby we have Islamic State. That is their mission. And these are where this is where extremism, this is where it's generated from. Like people when they want people to actually like they want to convert people to Muslim, they believe anyone that is not a Muslim shouldn't be living. You understand? That's their ideology. They are very radical. They are extremists. They can kill. And this is a major issue around even in Middle East right now. It's a major issue. They don't like anything Western. They believe, and this issue has not. This issue has been there way back. It's not something from. It's an historical thing from way back. So um and that is why we need to ensure that in a society, we need to differentiate things. But if you look at the case study of Saudi Arabia, why do you have stability in Saudi Arabia now? Because at some point, the government of Saudi Arabia try as much as possible to separate religion from their politics because most of the system of governance. If you look at it, why they have that stability, they're able to form a system where they separated religion entirely from the politics of their country, how they manage their country. And that's why they are more stable now than most of the other Middle Eastern country. So let's come back to the case of Nigeria. The adoption of Sharia law and how they infuse it into our politics. I believe, I want to believe the more one of the ulterior motive of I'm a Muslim, you understand, and I just want to be honest as much as I can so that it won't be as if maybe I'm talking because I'm trying to say things because you're a Muslim. I'm trying to defend my religion. That's not the case here. We will just say it the way exactly the way it is, so that people will understand that. Um, I believe one of the most bringing in Sharia law into northern states, basically because of politics. I believe so. They are trying to mix religion with politics, and that is the major issue, and it's becoming a major issue. Becoming it has really cost us a lot right now because right now we are having insecurity as a result of this. Um, trying to infuse religion into security, into our politics. It's costing us a lot right now, and if we continue on that path, we will have more instability. So when I came in, I heard about the case of Sharia and blasphemy and all that. And most of my Muslim brothers, most of them, they don't really understand the concept about this Sharia. Sharia concept is actually like some part of Sharia they are attributed to they are generated from Quran, right? Some part of the law. Why some part of the law they were people that were living in the society that made them up. That's the way law, just the way we have constitution, Nigeria constitution. And back in those days, these are state laws that is used to guide a particular community. In those days, we used to have communities like a region where it is mostly Muslim dominated. So they developed this law to guide the society so that they can have a way of living. So in the Christian region as well, they have this law as well that guide them as well, the Roman Empire and all that. And if you look at the blasphemy law itself, there are blasphemy law in Islam, and there's also blasphemy law in Christianity as well. But most of these law, when you check in Christianity and other religion, they've been abolished. Most of them have been abolished. Why the Islam community still retain their own? I don't know the reason for that. They have a personal for that. But I'm just trying to let you know that this law, some of them, they are state law, which they can be abolished, they can be reviewed. You understand? There are some that came that was generated from Quran. Those one can be retained. Like just like the blasphemy now, there was no direct reference. You cannot directly reference that to what the Quran says. Even the Hadith is somehow contradictory as well. So they are just trying to what I'm just trying to say is that most of these things are political tools. They are trying to use it to capture people's mind. They are not the teaching of the religion itself. It's just a way to manipulate and to make people or to conquer people into the religion. That is the reason why they are trying to bring up this Sharia and all. And if you look at it very well, this issue that we're saying is not really peculiar to Nigeria. If you look at like I said, the other places as well where they are having issue of crisis, it's mostly because the extremists they are trying to infuse the Sharia. They are trying to infuse the Sharia into their system of governance so that all the whole governance system it will be surrounded up. It will be all about Sharia law. You understand? That is the issue, and we have to just make sure that we separate these things. Like we have politics separately, we have religion separately. People that want to do their religion should do it privately, and politics should be about how to govern a society. So I mean, we are just trying to make this together, and everything at the end of the day is an agenda. There is an agenda behind it. And if you look at it in most of the Sahel states right now, like Mali, Burkina Faso, there's this issue as well. That's their mission. They are trying to if you look at the ISWAP, and they are trying to capture some of these. Maybe in recent times, Mali is having issue where Bamako has been captured. They almost captured Bamako as a result of Islamist people. These are the issues. they are just trying to infuse religion. They are trying to infuse the religion into the people, into the system of governance, and it's going to cost us a lot. So I'm really concerned, I'm really worried about it as well, because right now, even in Africa, we are having a major issue. It's a major crisis around the world. So I'm just trying to see how Nigeria can work around this, trying to balance it in such a way that, because I know that even the northern Nigerian people as well, I don't know how they were able to, allow, because if you look at it right now, the thing is the Sharia thing. They've used it to control their people, being the leaders already. They are using it to control. They are using it as a tool to control their people, and it's really giving me the idea. I don't understand how it's a big problem, to be honest, and I can't really like wrap my head around how they were able to bring that. If in fact how they brought that into the system of governance in that region, I don't know. Because I recently watched a interview where the light of Yerima that came about it, and they find a way to infuse it in their way of governance. But I'm telling you that if you still be doing some of this law, especially the blasphemy law and all that, you will still be having instability as a result of it. Because there's no way it will work in our system of governance. It's just like things that would not work. Some of these laws are meant to be abolished already. They are not meant to be living with us, because they are laws that have existed in the past. And that is the way law should be. Law should be reviewed often times. You can't bring a law that was in existence in the 80s and you bring it to 2025 and you believe it still work with people living in this time. So I mean, let me just use my mic for now.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Olu. Let me call you Olu. Let me know picture your name. Thank you for your wonderful submission. Mr. Ali, you raise your hand, please, quickly, so I can pass the mic to the new speakers.
Thank you very much, Mindset, for giving me another opportunity. Actually, we had a lot of speakers that spoke very well, and I wanted to contribute, but let me get first into this Sharia issue. Actually, there are a lot of misconception about Sharia law itself. Sharia law, during the colonial era, when they came, they made Sharia law in part of the northern state. So in the process, they introduced them into the court system to replace customary law that are applicable to other part of Nigeria. And of course, if we will observe, Sharia law itself has just a single appellate jurisdiction, that is the first court and then the second court, the upper Sharia court. And anything that is appellant beyond that, of course, we go back to the civil case. So I don't really understand why people are scared of what is not applicable to them. Quite all right, in Zamfara, from 1999 to 2003, we had a governor which introduced full-fledged Sharia. And then there were conflict with the law. Everyone saw it. So to some extent, there was a review to subvert that, because there are some penalties that the constitution, the law in the constitution supersedes when it comes to criminal cases. Then we should equally put in mind that up north we benefit a lot from Sharia. There are in the area of marriages, widow sorry, in the area of marriages, sharing of inheritance, and so on. And all these things, they make sure the courts make sure most of these are in accordance to Islamic doctrine. And, we should equally put in mind that in UK there are Sharia council. They make it strictly for Muslim in order to give Muslim right in the same area. But I wonder how, when it comes to Nigeria, just simply because we don't look for clarity of ourselves to know what is on ground, we just condemn without even having the requisite knowledge of the of Sharia itself. As a Muslim, I read a lot about Sharia, and I know where it is applicable, and no other faith should be scared of it. It is a very, very simple thing that I believe if they themselves go through it, they will understand that it is not out to winch hunt the opposite faith. So thank you. That is the little I will contribute for now.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for keeping to time, guys. Is 1:33. It's 1:33 this morning, so we've got to be very mindful of time, so we can carry others who have not spoken along. Udoka, you raise your hand, please, quickly, so I can pass the mic to Mr. Justice and Mr. Ikechu. Udoka, you have the mic, sir.
Thank you very much for allowing me to talk again. Starting with what the last speaker said, actually in the UK yesterday, because it was already a new day, yesterday a law was, a judge passed this ruling that one can actually criticize Islam. Right? I'm sure that such is going to be an abomination or against Sharia law in a country like Nigeria. Why I have to bring this up is because you made mention of UK now, and because I know UK is a country that allows people, freedom, and there are a lot of Muslims here. But for a country like UK to make such a ruling that people can actually criticize Islam, now I'm not trying to say that I want anybody to, criticize, all right, or to say ill things about one's religion, another person's religion. But it just goes a long way to allow you understand the supremacy of the value of life or the value of freedom over religion. All right, uh, people's value, the value you place on life that should supersede the one you place on anything like religion. Okay, now coming back to Nigeria, this was one of the things I raised, this Sharia law. Okay, because from the persons, the proponents, the people that spoke in favor of this Sharia law now, if you look at it, we understand that there is a complex, there is a lacuna, we don't have a central understanding from the persons that spoke now. There are level of understanding of the application of this Sharia law and the level of the complexity that these persons, three persons that spoke. This is for my own submission from what the three persons that spoke, what I gathered from it. Okay. Now, I wanted to ask this question. Can a Muslim choose not to be judged under Sharia law in Nigeria that have a constitution or a law, a national law that is supposed to, supersede, to be supreme over Sharia law? Can a Muslim choose not to be judged under Sharia law? One. Okay. And another thing is, now there's this meme that circulates over social media where you see someone saying, "Oh, before he kills you, I want you to know that what he's doing is not a representation of Islam." Okay, now when Deborah was lynched, there was a post that was made by Atiku. Atiku had to withdraw this post. If an influential figure like this man could withdraw his tweet, I wanted to understand, are you telling me, because some of you made mention that some of these people that do this do not go in line with the teaching of Sharia or the principles of Sharia actually. So is it that these people, this mob, or that they have overwhelmed the greater majority of the religion, right? I don't know whether you guys understand this question, the way I'm trying to put it. Is it that, or it's just a comfortable complacency, by the people who should advocate for a review of this? Because you cannot have two powerful sellers controlling a ship. There would be no headway. This is the issue. Anybody that is saying that this is not a problem is actually lying, all right? This is a problem because the fallout of this affects the life of other people that are Nigerians. So it's a problem. You cannot have a true unified Nigeria where you have different values. People have different values for life, right? Say in the South, have different value I place in life, and another person has different value they place in life. And we know that the government or the law of the land that's supposed to trump all this is very weak. I want to tell you that it is an error in the first place to inculcate Sharia law in the constitution, right? Because we've already established now that there are complexes that seems not to be, that seems as if we won't be able to solve them, all right, as a nation, because there are millions of excuses that are always given for it. Okay, I'll just round up. There are millions of excuses that are given by people that speak about this Sharia law that makes us understand that it is very difficult for you to have a common ground for everybody to thrive, right? That's it. I mean, in terms of the rule of law and application of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Udoka, for your question. So what I would do is let me allow Ms. First to ask contribute and ask a question. Have the Ariwa will be able to respond, or if there's any other person who would like to respond. Ms. First, you have the mic. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm not really asking a question because it's obvious that I will not get like a straightforward answer. And because I've just been listening all night, I feel like there's just so much gaslighting going on. There's so much excuses going on. The point where we are in the country now, especially with security, is the point where people need to tell the hard truth. People need to accept that truth. And people also need to start taking responsibilities. We can't be making excuses when people are dying. It doesn't matter who. As the last speaker was saying something about the value we place on religion and the value we place, on lives. Which one should supersede? So should we place more value on our religion, or should we place more value on the people who are actually living here with us? I think that is the question that everyone needs to ask before we start making excuses for whatever religion that we have. I personally believe that we should not have Sharia in a country like Nigeria that is a multi-religious country in any way, in any form. It should not be invaded. It should not be part of our constitution in any way. And if that's going to happen, I'm just going to say it, it's the big elephant in the room. And I don't mind saying it. Probably it's better if the northern part or we have like an Islamic part of Nigeria where they can have like their own region or their own country that they are, that power is devolved, sort of. So they can practice their religion, they can have their Sharia courts, they can, practice it without interfering with other people's lives or other people's religion. And then the other people at the other side of the country can practice Christianity or whatever other thing that they practice, where there won't be anything like Sharia law being imposed on people who are not Muslims. Because people have given so many examples like Deborah and every other, but all I heard was excuses of why that happened or why this person said that. It just doesn't make any sense, and it's very aggravating. We can't live together and push the country forward if we're going to just be making excuses for religion. We need to care more for ourselves. We need to care more for the living than make excuses for religion that we don't even know the origin of it, neither do we even know where it's going to end. So I think that to move this country forward, to save lives, and for us to even have some form of quality life and some form of sanity, we probably have gotten to that point where we should have a round table of discussion to talk about how are we actually going to move this country forward. Are we supposed to be together as one and just keep forcing ourselves in this marriage that is obviously not working? So there are so many issues that can be brought on the table, especially this issue of religion. It's a very big problem, and now it's leading to so many deaths, and we're not even accepting it. We're not taking responsibility. We don't even want to talk about it, but we want to just make excuses for everything that has happened. And for me, I find it really annoying, to be honest. Thank you so much, Mindset.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fred, for your explanation. I've said it before. If we come to that conclusion that this is not working out, and that's what the people of Nigeria want, there's absolutely nothing wrong in saying, "Oh, you carry your bag, go this side. This person will go this side." There's nothing wrong in it. If we try to force this marriage, and it's not working, then we have to find a way out, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong in it. So, but if we look at it and say, okay, we are going to respect people's religion, we are going to respect people's opinion. I don't eat rice, but if you like to eat your rice, that's up to you. Let me eat my beans. That's okay. Then we'll probably find a way to work together. But thank you very, very much for your submission. As you know, on this platform, there's no topic that I'm scared of, right? And I must commend everybody as always. It doesn't matter how difficult a topic is, we always find a way not to, just find a way to discuss it without calling each other names. So I must commend everyone who has spoken this morning. Arewa, you raise your hand quickly, please. Mr. Olu, please, I'll come back to you. Let me quickly hear from Arewa.
All right, thank you, Marcel. I wanted to respond to what Udoka said and the last lady that just spoke, I think Mrs. Nkichi or something like that. Sorry if I got the name wrongly. You see, religion topic has always been sensitive, especially for politicians, because there is this conflict of interest regarding, because you never can tell how the public can react to your stance on religion. It could be misquoted, and anything like that could be catastrophic to you politically. So the issue with, and he made mention of what Atiku Abubakar said, at least Atiku Abubakar put out something and then he deleted it. Other Nigerian politicians didn't say anything. Like Peter Obi never made mention of anything. Other top politicians didn't even say anything because they didn't want to get involved in it, so that whatever they are saying should not be taken out of context. And the issue that people who the last speaker made mention of how religion is affecting Nigeria and how Nigeria should just do it separate. You see, what I believe is people need to stop telling Muslims how to practice Islam. I think that's where we are finding it very conflicting, because you hardly see Muslims trying to tell Christians how to practice Christianity. I mean, we all have our reservations, but it's not our place. even if we chat among ourselves, it doesn't really become something that we try to enforce. It's blatantly clear that northern Nigeria, some majority of northern Nigerian states, some are even over 95% Muslims. I think this is common knowledge for everybody. And Sharia, like we rightly mentioned, has worked. I said this yesterday and I'm still saying it today. It has worked for Muslims in northern Nigeria. It has worked amicably. And just like any other thing, like the Nigerian system as a whole, it has its inconsistency, or let me say its shortcomings, its challenges that it faces. But the idea that it's overreach, I think I don't even understand why somebody would say something like that, because it has specifically dealt with Muslim issues and Muslim issues particularly straightforward. When you understand the difference between this, it becomes easier for you to understand where Sharia is coming from. There are so many things that are Islamic, that is the way of life that is not captured in the Nigerian constitution, or let me say it's not the same with the Nigerian constitution. Like when you come to terms of Islamic marriages and how they intend to end or terminate, and distribution of inheritance, Sharia have helped us in shaping younger generations. It has maintained some sort of decorum in our society that fits our teachings and Islam as a religion. It's important for people to understand that this thing has worked for us. This is why many northerners are not complaining about the application of Sharia. And you have never seen Sharia in any other states that is not northern dominated. Even in northern Nigeria, in north central states and other states that are Christians dominated, or the population is at par, they are not practicing Sharia. Benue, Plateau, and all these places, they are not practicing Sharia. So it's something that is restricted to northern Nigeria. And Muslims, northern Muslims it has worked for us. And I want to respond again to the issue of people who are doing the lynching and what have you. People need to separate the two. Condemning the people that carry out this jungle justice is entirely different from condemning the perpetrator's act. That is the person that blasphemed. I can disagree with the person that blasphemed and disagree with the initial jungle justice that was taken. So it's two different things. Why you misunderstand when the Deborah situation happened and how so many people reacted is not because people supported what those young people did, but people did not support what Deborah did as an action. So it's a situation of two wrongs, you know. I'm not in support of what she did, and neither am I in support of how they carried out the judgment, because that's not how the Sharia teaches, and that is not how the Sharia is designed. So you need to be able to separate the two. The fact that I believe that Deborah was wrong does not necessarily mean I agreed with the judgment or the actions that was carried out upon her. So it's safer, it's better for everybody to just allow people practice their religion how they deem it fit, so long as it does not interfere with you. And Sharia haven't interfered with anybody as far as I'm concerned. The fact that there are isolated cases and what have you, and it's been ironed out, it's been brushed out. The issue with the musician in Kano who blasphemed is in the Supreme Court. The appeal court said that he should not be killed. I'm very certain that the Supreme Court will go a similar way, and at the end of the day, he will walk free. So it's something that people need to understand the boundaries in this thing. I think that is the biggest misconception. When you are not living the realities of these people, you don't know the teachings of their religion, and then you try to tell them how to go about it. I think this is the particular place that we are having serious of problems, because you never see a northerner trying to tell a Muslim northerner, trying to impose or make it a necessity to tell people in southern Nigeria or Christians how to practice their religion or how to carry out their traditions. So it's a conflict that people need to understand. The majority and the dominant population in northern Nigeria and how they intend to carry it. It's a issue of majority. Majority, if you will go and run a head count today in northern Nigeria, in these states that have Sharia, create a ballot and ask the people there, are you in support of Sharia or you are not? And you ask the vote, you will be surprised, overwhelmed by the number of people that will tell you that they are in support of Sharia, because like I said, it has worked for all. So why bother yourself abolishing something that is governing people and majority of the people are telling you that they want? Why are you insisting that it should be abolished? It's a will of the majority of the people there. So I think it's important for you to understand that. I yield myself.
All right, thank you very much, Ariwa. Please, I can see quite a number of persons raising their hand. I will come back to you guys. Please, I have a question for Ariwa. Now, you mentioned that the Sharia law is meant for Muslims. We have had conflict stories about what the late Deborah said in the WhatsApp group, in the school WhatsApp group, but she's not a Muslim, right? So if the Sharia law is meant for Muslims, why would that apply to her? Wow, how is that? I mean, right? But then, based on what you said, that you do not agree with what she said, right? Well, she's not a Muslim, so she's not following the Sharia law. Why is that that people feel that okay, she has said something against the religion, but she's not practicing the religion. She's a Christian. However, if you don't want to, if you mind,
No,
do not mind.
you see, my side, I mentioned this earlier, and I will still mention it again. It's important for people to understand the environment at which they are. You know, I come to Twitter so many times, and you will see somebody who is living in Nigeria just insults the entire Islam, insults the Prophet, insult everything, call people all sort of names, and he just goes his normal day, and nobody attacks him, nobody does anything to him. But you can't do that when you are in the reach of the people, you're in the midst of these people, and you're telling them these things to their faces. I think it is just better that if we are trying to make people understand that this is an extreme way to carry out things, I think it is also important to enlighten people not to blaspheme or say things about people's religion, especially when you are in their midst. It's a different kind of insult on its own, where they can get to you. And you can't control the actions of some people, because a lot of people get driven by emotions when you talk about religion. It's sensitive, like I said when I started talking. So when you try to see faults in the actions that people carried out, I think it's better if we encourage people people that don't understand the religion, and to just stop discussing or saying things that affects the religion, to avoid hurting people who cherish this particular religion. So it's easier for people not to blaspheme than to control the emotions of 1,000 people that you can't tell what somebody is thinking at that moment.
Yeah, but let me, okay, because of time, sorry, I do apologize for interjecting. I mean, I see people raising their, but you have not really answered my question. The thing here is, based on what you said, right? You said that the blasphemy law is meant for Muslims, all right? And this is the way the what guides the religion. I mean, if you're a Muslim and you are set by that rule of the Sharia law, that's fine. But somebody who is not a Muslim, who do not believe in Sharia law, why would that be? Why would that affect them? That's the thing. The late Deborah is not a Muslim, right? She said something. I mean, if indeed the law is meant for Muslims, she's not a Muslim, right? She didn't say anything. She said something that you feel uncomfortable with. But on the other hand, since she's not a Muslim, why would that be a problem? Because you said that the law is meant for Muslims.
Yes, myself, I have responded to this question, but I'll still respond to it again, and I'll still clarify on it again. You see, like I said, there is layout arrangement on how judgment should be carried out in Sharia settings. And I said this, and I'm still saying it, that the actions of those young men does not align with accordance to Sharia. That is a clear violation of the practice of Sharia, because in Sharia law, there is a layout process to determine the person's guilt, beyond reasonable doubt, by presenting overwhelming evidence to determine that the person actually did blaspheme in the first place. So, like I said, those mob that carried out those actions didn't do it according to whether the Sharia court will find her guilty or will sentence her to death. It's something that we never got to find out. But the truth is what the actions and how those people carried out that attack is not in accordance with the teachings of the Sharia. But like I said, you need to separate their action from what she did. Of course, what she did is offensive to Muslims and is a crime to Muslims, it's blasphemy to Muslims. But the actions and the people that carried out that particular action didn't do it accordingly. They didn't do it according to what Sharia laid out. So it's failure on their own part or ignorance on their own part, and it's a failure on the Nigerian judicial system, on the Nigerian security outfit that have failed to bring them to books. But there is a laid out process for somebody to be found guilty in a Sharia settings. And it's very unfortunate that for Deborah we couldn't get to find out because some people took the law on their hands.
All right. All right, thank you very much. I can see a lot of people raising their hand. Please, if it's a question, let me know. You can raise your hand if it's a question. If it's a contribution, please.
I want to engage everyone, please.
Okay, you just 1 minute. I'm not finished, please. Please hear me out. Now, thank you. There are those who like to contribute to the conversation who have not contributed yet, right? I think the best thing we can do is allow those who want to contribute. Let it not appear that it's only Ariwa, the platform is only for Ariwa, myself, and all those who are asking questions. I hope that's okay with everybody. So let's allow those who want to contribute. Olu, I will come back to you, please. Bear with me for a minute. Let's allow those who have just joined us who want to contribute. Let them contribute, then we'll go back to questions. Hope that's okay with everybody. Are we all agree with it?
That's fine, mindset.
All right, thank you very much. So, Dan, you have the mic. Dan, please be very mindful of time. You have the mic. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good evening, good morning. I trust you fine, sir. Thank you for the opportunity once again. I actually trust your judgment on holding back on this discussion as it is already. Well, I find it very curious when Mr. Arewa here said that what she believed that what Deborah did was wrong. She never told us what Deborah did. What Deborah did continue to be is chemistry today. Nobody actually can tell us what she did beyond sending a message on WhatsApp. And it is normal for you to have an academic WhatsApp group and people don't put religious discussion on it. People can say, even within my WhatsApp group from my university, I still quarrel with them despite the fact that I'm a Christian. You don't throw tantrum every time. You want to do religious, create a WhatsApp group for religious people, and everybody who are religious will know that this is a religious group. But that's just by the way. Secondly, you talk about judicial system in Nigeria. There's no judicial system in Nigeria that make it possible for the government of Sokoto State not to persecute the people that actually killed Deborah in a very gruesome manner. First, the government of Sokoto brought a charge of public disturbance against the state, right? So they don't bring any action against them for killing anybody. Two, the government of Sokoto, on their own, failed to diligently prosecute the matter. They court have to throw the matter away, dismiss the matter because of the lack of diligent prosecution of the matter. So it's not judiciary again. This is the two things I want to say from what you have said already. Now, the reason why the issue of religion and this issue at every point in time it becomes like every issue becomes a spark in Nigeria is because those issues that we have refused to talk about, they remain very resonating in our lives, and we are all of us are shying away from it. And people finish, another person will take over again, and people going to die and get destroyed. And because the children are not the one dying, we move on again to the next person. Nigeria cannot do so anymore, right? When the British came to Nigeria, they allowed the penal code the Sharia system to operate, and they created the penal code in the south, in the north, and they created the criminal code in the south. There are so many factors in the penal code that are quite very instructive to talk about. If I have time, I will have talked about unless so many of the subjects under the penal code that are quite curious for me as a person, and that are quite very fundamentally in error against the Nigerian Constitution, first of all, right? The Sharia court, the penal code actually encourages a man to beat his wife in under the penal code, right? To beat his wife. There are many of the curious things I can talk about here, but these are the things that Nigeria have not actually sat down. The reason is that we have continued to say, oh, let us have them going to do our thing. No, we cannot do so. We cannot be the nation in pretense of what the issues are. Nigerians must sit down and talk about Nigerian issues. That's the only way we can move forward. There's no other way. The reason why this religious issue going to bring us, because creating somebody, he said 95% of Northerners are Muslim, which is not true. That's what he said, right? If you can rewind what you said, this is one of the things he said. 95% of people in the north are Muslim. First, there's no state in the north that has complete absolute Muslims. First of all, so if you have one person who is a Christian, you cannot make a law that Sharia law that is against somebody's rights. You cannot make a law that is against another person's rights. First of all, yesterday you were inundated with on the issue of Section 10 of the Constitution of Nigeria. Somebody brought the issue of Section 10. That was Henry, my friend. He brought the issue of Section 10 of the Nigeria Constitution to let you know that Nigeria is a secular state. That creating a state religion is antithetical to Nigeria Constitution. It's very new and very surprising to Nigeria Constitution because it does not have any of it. Yes, on the other hand, it created the Sharia Court of Appeal, and allowed the court to do so. Now, the intention is to do only two things. It gave them the jurisdiction on what to do. And so just matter of two things. One, marriage and distribution of wealth. That's your property. Yeah? That's just the only two things that the Constitution provided for. You don't have a criminal jurisdiction. So at what point are we going to tell ourselves that this system is not working? You said, oh, there are people who came, the Northerners want it, the Muslims want it. The question, at what point did they do this census in Nigeria? And they said, people, these are people that want it. Right? There's no people that sat down together and said, this is what you want. First of all, you say, oh, the Sharia court is for only Muslims. First of all, if that is how people make us to believe it. That's not the reality. That's not what is obtainable in our reality. The people who are not Muslims have been tried. Even in Abuja. So that's how close I am. So what we need to do is, all this issue we are deceiving ourselves is that we have not gone to the root of Nigeria. We cannot deceive ourselves. You cannot operate two laws in one jurisdiction. You cannot operate two different systems in one country. We need to tell ourselves truth. What kind of country do we want to have? Do we want to have in Nigeria? We want to have a northern Nigeria that is operated by Muslims. In Adamawa state, in the Sokoto state, they have plenty of Christians there. So at what point will you create a Muslim law that will ban a Christian person there? Because when you make a law, the law is to everybody there. The law is not to a few persons, it's to everybody. When you say I should not drink in Sokoto state, you are telling me that I don't have the right to drink. Whereas that's not the law. The law should be allowing me as a Nigerian to drink. Is it going to make a Sharia law that is against Nigeria Constitution that the right to drink and the right to buy my beer should not be accepted in Nigeria system in Sokoto state because you are doing Sharia law? Sharia law should be personal to you. If you don't want to drink beer, that's your problem. It shouldn't be a state affair. That is where Nigeria is. Until we tell ourselves, this country is not working, we cannot get anywhere. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dan, for your submission. Okay, what I would do is, I've seen Mr. Doka wrote something on the comment section, and Mr. Odu have a question. So let's go with the questions, and I'll come back to the contribution. Olu, please, let's make it be very brief. Your question to Ariwa, please, then I would pass the mic to another person.
Yeah. So I want to have a direct engagement with Ariwa's thoughts here. So, I'm a Muslim, and you were always mentioning Northern Muslim. There's nothing like Northern Muslim. The Muslim is the Muslim. That's number one. Number two is, are you aware that there is political Islam and how it has contributed to terrorism in Nigeria? And what do you think the leadership of Northern Nigeria is doing, trying to stop this menace? What do you think the Northern Nigerian is trying to do, trying to work around modalities of how to stop? Because these things emanate from preaching from religious leaders, you understand? Trying to be the issue of radicalism and why people should just, mob action on people that commit blasphemy. Like you said, it's supposed to go through the process of law and to ensure that there is an overwhelming evidence for before anyone can be convicted of blasphemy. But this is a situation where people, and it's a known fact that when people do these things in Northern Nigeria, when people blaspheme against the prophet, you have mob action. If this is not what the religious leaders are preaching to people, and would attribute that to terrorism, right? Why would you have such action? I mean, this is not the first time, it's not the second time, it's not the third time. So definitely, for people to behave in that manner, you should know that it is being preached to them that they should react that way when blasphemy against the prophet. Like I said, I'm a Muslim as well, and I understand the religion very well as well, very much. So I wanted to give me, But let me just go to the point. Like my question is, are you aware about political Islam, and you know that this is contributing to terrorism? And how do you think the leadership of Northern Nigeria is trying to curb this menace? Just give me the answer, please.
All right, thank you very much. So, Ariwa, if you do not mind responding to this, but be very quick with it. I said quickly, I apologize. Be very quick with your response so I can pass the mic to those who are raising their hands.
As man said, I'll try to be very quick with the response. There is politics everywhere, and the political Islam that you're making reference to, they are more concerned on enriching themselves rather than promoting terrorism. I think they don't dismiss Islam to that extent of causing internal terrorism that later ends up killing more Muslims than any other person in the whole of this country. So it's important that we understand the difference with what we are having now. Like I keep saying and I'll keep saying, extremism is on both sides. Extremists are on both sides because there are challenges that people from northern Nigeria have faced in southern part of the country just for practicing their religion as well, and it's been swept under the carpet. Nobody wants to pay attention to that because it doesn't fit the narrative that these things portray. And when you come to terms of terrorism, I will always disassociate that with Islam. There's no any part of Islam that encourages or anybody that does that automatically steps out of Islam. It's outside it. And if you are a Muslim, you should know that there's no aspect of Islam that does that. And the teachings that everybody is trying to put out for in terms of the malams and people carrying out and tafsir here, nobody encourages people to take that line of action or get involved with terrorism to that extent. It doesn't make sense for you to be terrorizing your own people. I don't know how that makes sense to anybody. So the idea that these guys are practicing Muslim or this is Islam in any way, it is flawed. Like I keep saying, these guys are character. You are not yet recognized as a terrorist until you finally put that icing on the cake that you are a Muslim. I mean, this is common sense. This is how terrorists are portrayed everywhere in the world. They don't regard you as a terrorist until you have that final icing on the cake of Allahu Akbar or you identify as a Muslim. So these guys are characters that are playing to the tune of the world and how they understand terrorists or how they are or how you have to portray yourself to be taken serious. Until you call yourself an Islamic jihadist, nobody regards you as a terrorist. Nobody takes you serious as a terrorist. So these guys are just characters. They are not Muslims and they are not practicing Islam. And you as a Muslim should know that these guys are not practicing Islam. I yield.
All right, quickly, Mr. Udoka, please go straight to your question, then I can pass the mic to Sofano Fools.
All right, thank you once again. So the question was somehow skipped. The question was, I wanted to know if a Muslim can choose not to be tried by Sharia law in Nigeria, and if the person makes such choice, if it's obtainable, will it be be allowed? Will it be respected? Thank you.
Arwa, please go ahead if you want to respond to that.
Yes, of course. If you don't want to be tried according to Sharia, you can. There are Muslim. I even know some families that even in the wealth distribution, that's like the most cliche aspect of the Sharia. They ended up living will, and the family had to respect that final decision of the parent and abide by it. So of course, if you don't want to go the Sharia route, it's allowed even as a Muslim.
All right, thank you very much. So do we have any other person who wants to contribution? Let's go to Sofano Fools, then I will come back to those who would like to ask questions. Sofano Fools, you have the mic. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. Great job you guys are doing. I think there's been a lot of misinformation that has been thrown around. For some of us that were born in the north, grew up in the north, lived most of our adult life, went to medical school in the north. We know the north very well, so we are not new to all this discussion. I wanted to talk about my experience with regards to insecurity, right? But that's not what we're really discussing today. We're discussing religion and politics in Nigeria. And Ariel has said a few things that I don't think are entirely true. The first I want to address was the last point he made in terms of a Muslim can choose not to be judged under the Sharia law. I remember the case of the woman that was accused of adultery, and she was to be stoned to death, and she had to be ferried to the Vatican to prevent her from um, being stoned to death. So, despite against her will, so I mean, there's been few cases off the top of my head that I don't want to bring up here. The other issue I wanted to quickly address is the issue of Deborah. And I read what Deborah posted on the WhatsApp group is that this is a department group for school concerns. Stop sending religious content here. If this is what she's posted, and this is what has cost her her life, then I think that we are in deep trouble and we should should not be in the same country with certain groups of people. Now, I'll go ahead and say that whilst I was in medical school, I had friends from both sides. I'm from a mixed family in terms of religion. Yeah, but from the part of country where I came from, religion is never our identity. But for the north, the core north, because I'm from the Middle Belt area, religion is always an identity, and it's going to be an issue as long as it's going to take. Now, if this is what she's posted, I think is ridiculous, and I think it's extremely cruel for her to have been mauled and burnt to death. Most of us have posted even worse things on our WhatsApp groups whilst we're in school, and nothing of sort happened. Perhaps maybe because we schooled in Kaduna, and Kaduna is a little bit more mixed than other parts of the north with Sharia law. Now, moving on to some issues that we need to address. One is Sharia law. Two is apostasy. Three is blasphemy. And I think all these three issues have got major problems, just like Ogoy said. Ogoy said, he said we can't have two different laws in the same country. We have to decide what law we want to live by, because it causes a lot of confusion. And I don't think we should proceed in this direction. I can't imagine that someone would say, okay, I want to be a Muslim today, and then tomorrow he decides I don't want to be a Muslim anymore. And then his life is on the line. It's ridiculous. Where it come from? People switch religion like morning, day, and night. Someone could be a Muslim in the morning, by night is a traditional worshiper. Nobody gives a damn. You understand? So I don't know why that should be the case in other parts of the country. It means that we've got a different republic. As at 2003, when Sharia law was established, that was when the country became divided. You had an Islamic republic and you had a Federal Republic of Nigeria. And since then, we've not been able to sort out these confusion. And I think it's time to sort it out. But my fear is that I don't think the core north, as is often described, which I think is even a misnomer in itself, are ready to change. The reason being that religion has been mixed with politics, and it's become difficult for people to differentiate both. And unfortunately, religion is a means to capture people's mind for political gain. If you're able to capture somebody's mind, you control the mind, then you could control the person's allegiance with regards to politics. So this is my own submission, and I'm going to make this submission. I think that we are beating on the wrong direction. I mean, we're pushing on the wrong direction. And I feel that we need to make a decision as a country to decide what sort of country do we want to live in. Do we want to live in a country that is bedeviled with confusion, or want to live in a very sane country? And if that is the case, then I would say that certain parts of the country are not compatible with other parts of the country. We have to tell ourselves the truth. It's a bitter pill that we have to swallow. Days, day and night that we keep going back to the same issue for 50, 60 years. The foundation of the country was at fault anyway. But I think it's time we address it completely. Nigeria is not a country. We have to decide if we want to be a country. But I fear that the other parts of the country will not want to yield. So my submission is to break up the country. And I'll come back tomorrow and I'll say the same thing. And in the next 2 weeks, 1 month, I'll say the same thing. Because what you cannot do is to change somebody's way of life, the way he thinks. It's going to be difficult to do that. That's my submission. If we want to have certain parts of the country that want to practice Sharia, let them do that. We have certain parts of the country that want to live in a very secular state. Let them do that. You understand? I know there are indigenous Christian populations in those Sharia states. They can move. That's the way I think. I think India did it with Bangladesh. We can do it in this country. People can begin their life again. There's no need to go about this thing. It's retrogressive. It's not going to allow everybody to progress. We're going to be stuck in the same issue. I've lived in the north. I'm telling you guys, these guys are not going to change. And it's not doesn't make them bad people at all. This is how they want to live their life. So we should let them be, so that we live our life in a certain way. Okay? So I think that's what we should be advocating as young people. We should be pushing this forward. We should be thinking about rethinking Nigeria, rethinking the boundaries, rethinking our laws. Thank you.
Thank you very much, so far, no fools, for your submission. It always makes me chuckle when I hear people talk about this is what we should be doing as young people. Can you please, can you mute your mic for a minute? Can you mute your mic? When they talk about this is what we should be doing, I'm not a young person. I'm not that young. So the fact that I'm still up here to 17 in the morning doesn't mean I'm young. But I do agree with you. If we try this and it's not working, and the people decide that everybody has to go their separate ways, if that's the only way to salvage whatever is remaining of this country, and that's what we have to do. But it has to be the people that will make that decision. But I disagree with you. I disagree with you when you say Nigeria is not a country. Nigeria is a country. Maybe it's not a country that we want it to be, but it's a country as it stands right now. Thank you very much, guys. Let's be very mindful of time. So I pass the mic to
Can you hear me?
Sorry, who might that be?
Sisani.
Okay, Sani, please, we have to wait for your time, please. Thank you very much. There are those who have not contributed. I wanted to pass the mic to them. Justice, you have the mic, please. Let's be very mindful of time. Good morning, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Mindset, for this space. This topic is a very sensitive one, in the fact that the country is almost kind of. I agree with the fact that there is no state in the country where you do not have Christians and of course Muslims, in that place. So ideally, Nigeria should be a secular country, right? Where religious freedoms are allowed. In fact, it's even in our constitution, But a situation whereby the Supreme Court, if I'm to use Trump's words, unfortunately, they now disgrace the Supreme Court because, the president said the country is now a disgraced country, right? Whether anybody accepts that particular line from Donald Trump himself or not, he's essentially telling us the truth that there are some certain, areas that make our country disgraceful, and that's very correct. Now, I'll hinge my submission on two very critical points that have already been probably listed here. Now, the first one is the Supreme Court judgment that actually upheld the killing of somebody who, I'm sure that guy is probably a Christian, who killed an alleged terrorist in self-defense, right? And then this issue of Deborah, it is even recently that I heard that Deborah didn't actually blaspheme. It's just like, Mike, by mindset in this your space, you don't usually like people jumping on the mic. Allowing for decorum. That when it's your turn, you speak. When it's not your turn, mute your mic. Right? That's exactly what Deborah did on that their class WhatsApp group to say, look, hold on, this is a group, this is a forum for academic related activities, not for any form of religious bias. And these guys killed her. So I honestly believe that, listen, there is no place in our constitution that says Nigeria as a country cannot be discussed. Nigeria's unity cannot be discussed. There's no place in the constitution like that. So if there are people who believe that their religion comes first before their humanity, then I think we should discuss the unity of Nigeria with such people. There's really no need forcing now everybody into a so-called contraption called Nigeria, where it does appear that people's fundamental human rights can be trampled. People's lives can be taken for something so trivial. Mindset is it in this country that we had killings, bloodletting in massive proportions over a cartoon that happened in Europe. It's in Nigeria. And we have that type of nonsense. So I am beginning to align myself with those who say, look, if you think you want to worship Muhammad beyond Muhammad himself, then you should stay as a country and allow people who want to be a secular nation to remain secular. It's very simple. And you see these things permeate into our politics. You see the current situation with the Minister of FCT. He has taken those things to tribal religious lines, right? Because he has gotten both domestic and international backlash for his garrulous, behavior. So again, Nigeria's unity, I want to make it clear that Nigeria's unity is negotiable. We can basically sit on a table and say, look, if you want to worship Muhammad's tomb, go ahead and do it. But if you must have citizens of this country who do not want to do the same, live and cohabit with you, then you have to renegotiate the terms of agreement. I don't see any reasons why Christians cannot live peacefully in core northern states. We're talking about Christian genocide now, and the government is still denying. They are still lying. The information minister went abroad to Piers Morgan's space and was still lying like a 2-year-old. You licked chocolate and it's all over your lips and tongue and everywhere on your clothes, but you're still lying to your mother that you did not touch any chocolate. So I personally believe that we have come to that junction where we can basically say, well, Nigeria's unity can be negotiated, because you can't be living with barbarians, people that are willing to shed innocent blood for very little matters. Every day I remember Deborah and the way she died and the circumstances that led to her death. That she did, as a brilliant student, she didn't even say, some very foul words against the prophet. He only said, this is a group where our principle is on academics. Please do not bring religion to this group. And they got her killed. In fact, some prominent politicians in this country, former vice president of this country, made a tweet, trying to say that her killing was wrong, but got a backlash and he deleted it. And I said, are you surprised that such individuals haven't said a word either to, follow the government in the line that there is no Christian genocide, or to actually confirm that there is Christian genocide? They all kept quiet. I can go on and on, name so many top leaders of the North. So please, let nobody come here and gaslight Nigerians. We are all learned people. We understand what a secular country means. We understand that Muhammad the Prophet should be respected. But issues of blasphemy, in my opinion, shouldn't be death sentence. It's not enough to kill somebody. And if you people make it compulsory that even if in situations where there is blasphemy, that the person must die, then we need to separate as a country. These are mad people. These are barbarians. There are stipulated laws. Your hand, my son, and I'm rounding off. There are stipulated laws in the Constitution for which somebody might be tried for death sentence. Those laws are clear. I don't need to start enumerating them. And in that Constitution, which everybody follows as a citizen of Nigeria, there's no place that says blasphemy of the Holy Prophet deserves a death sentence. If you people want to continue in that madness, take your country and stay over there. Nigeria's unity is negotiable. Thank you very much. I hit my mic.
Okay, thank you, Justice. Before I pass the mic to Mr. Faisani, we have a new speaker here who has not contributed. Please, let's allow Mr. Akin Jite Bakare. Good morning, sir. You have the mic.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I am a Muslim from the South. The only time that I've lived in the North was during my youth service. I saw things there that scared me about my religion and about my brothers and sisters in the North. Now, I think on this space, there has been an oversimplification of what I think are the problems of Nigeria. And to think that separation, everybody going their way, will solve all our problems is to be naive. The problems will continue to be there, separate. Then other smaller things that you thought were small will manifest themselves and become big in your own small spaces. So let us not be cowardly. Let us face our problems and find solutions to them. I started by saying that I am a Muslim. And I challenge those who propound all these draconian decrees in Islam. What I always ask them, there are two major guiding principles of Islam, the Quran and the Sunnah, that is the practices of the Holy Prophet. For the want of time, we might not be able to outline all those things where the Prophet was a prominent person in protecting people of other religions around him. His major bodyguard was not a Muslim. He was with him till he died. He did not convert him by force to become a Muslim. I don't know where they found all these there, stoning to death. There is nothing in Islam, in the Quran, and in the Sunnah of the Prophet that says anybody should be stoned to death. Anybody who can prove it to me should bring it forth. It is all lies. So, what we should continue to do, we that are Muslims, is to confront all these people when they bring all these their draconian, what I call, sorry for foul language, what I call nonsense, into the religion. Even admitting without conceding that there is a death sentence. Who should pass that death sentence? Should it be a mob? Should it be somebody who just feels that this person must die and then brings out a machete and starts killing them? Or should there be an organized court system that will find this person guilty? And then if there is a death sentence, the only death sentence in Islam, I believe, is when you take a life. And in that case, you will still face a court. To deny, that there are no killings, that the killings are not lopsided to the side of the Christians. Yes, I've heard a lot of Muslims say, yes, all this violence kills Muslims. It also it kills Christians, but it also kills Muslims. We should not minimize anybody's loss. If a village has 99% Christian and all of them are wiped out, while the life of 1% Muslim in that village is not insignificant, but you cannot, in the scheme of things, compare it with 99% and say that there is no systematic elimination of people, and which dovetails into your definition of genocide. In conclusion, my suggestion is that we, the Muslims, should not go into any space and start gaslighting people. These problems are problems. They are our problems. Sometimes I feel ashamed to be a Muslim, when I hear the kind of things. I served in the North in 1991, 92. And I was in Bauchi State. I saw what happened. The riots of, I think I got there in October or something, while the riots happened in about April. And I searched and searched what was the reason. And it was about somebody allegedly serving pork. Nobody was able to define exactly where the pork was sold. It was just a rumor. And then a rampage, killing thousands of people, ravaging several square kilometers of residence over somebody serving pork. The amount of ignorance of these people that do these things, their ignorance of Islam itself is amazing. Because some of the things they say, you take out books, you ask scholars, you cannot find them any basis for them. But yet, there is this conspiracy of silence of those of us who think that this thing is wrong. And it is our duty to speak up in justice. That is what the Quran says. That is what the Hadith of the Prophet says. Wherever you find injustice, you should fight it with everything you have. No matter who is suffering the injustice, you must fight equally insofar as it is a human being. Even for animals, we are supposed to protect them. Talk less of human being. Take a knife into somebody's neck and slaughter. But I admonish all the people who think that every problem is just like saying every problem you have with your siblings, everybody must go their separate ways. On the day you die, you are going to rot on the surface of the earth, nobody to bury you. We are going to have problems. We must solve all those problems. To think that separation will solve it is to me a joke. Confront our problems. I have seen in some places in the southeast where they fight over a Catholic priest being appointed from another community. First, they say this person is not an indigent here. So that is not Muslim to Christian. That is Christian to Christian, Catholic to Catholic. All because somebody is from, say, Enugu State, and they bring somebody from Anambra State to come and be priest, and the parishioners refused to allow that person to be priest in that place. So all I am saying is these problems are big. We Muslims must speak up. Separation is not a solution to our problems. Thank you very much. For the creator of this space, this is my first time and I've enjoyed myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your wonderful submission, Mr. Bakari. On that note, I'll pass the mic to Mr. Sassani.
Thank you very much, Marcet, for giving me the second opportunity to speak on this topic, religion and politics in Nigeria. I've heard all the submissions that have been made by several speakers on the issue of Sharia. And I can tell you that every one of them is right in his own way. But the issue here is, where do we meet and create compromises reconcile issues, get to an understanding, and see how we can move forward. That is the point of contention. Because, as I said, everybody is all right, is right in his own way. As Justice has said, however, from what Justice has said, I don't think holding insults on a people is the right way to go about it. You don't have to, because I believe that if you hold insults where intelligence or knowledge should strive, I believe you are missing the point. You are being combative. You are showing insolence. You don't seem to respect or accept anything from the other side of the divide. You are very combative. I don't think that is knowledge. No, it is not. Now, with regards to what needs to be done, for those of you that are advocating separation, I would like you to have an in-depth study of the northern part of this country. You need to study it. Don't stay in your safe zone and think that you can project what is happening in the northern part of the country, and that should form your decision on matters that directly affect your people in the northern part of this country. I think apart from the southeast itself, perhaps Lagos, there's nowhere else in this country where you have a large concentration of people from southeast, like the northern part of this country. I live in Kano. And for those of you who don't know, around the area where I live behind the airport, it's a new estates that are there. It's a new place. And I can tell you, 90% of the people who own properties in that place are people of Igbo extraction. Now, if you are hauling insult and calling for division from your safe zone, what about your people that are here? And with respect to the Sharia that you are talking about, I was in service in Anambra State when Umbadu Niju was the governor. Crime was at its peak. Robbery, 6 o'clock. If I hit your car, you will not even turn back to look at me, because you will suspect that the market has closed, you are going home with money, somebody has hit you from the back. As soon as you alight, they will rob you. I was there. That was when the Bakassi boys were introduced. I have seen what they have done. And those of you that were old enough to be in Anambra at that particular point in time to see what the Bakassi boys have done, it will really stir your emotions. There's no doubt about it. There was no court of law. All they need to do is a petition on. They'll flash on you, and if it gives them a particular sign, they'll pick you and go to your area, machete you to death, put a tire on your head, and burn you alive. Now, with regards to Sharia in northern Nigeria, there's something that you conceptually fail to understand about it. For example, in the east and in the southeast and the south, the tradition and culture of the people still thrive. But in the northern part of this country, the corner, wherever tradition and culture go contrary to the dictates of the religion, that culture and tradition will be wiped out. We used to have shrines as you are having shrines. We used to go to shrines to settle dispute as you are having shrines to settle dispute and other issues there. But when Islam came to wipe them, remember Islam has been here for over 100 and something years. It has formed an integral part of people's lives. And that is why I said studying the religion and the historical evolution of the religion in northern Nigeria will give you an understanding of why people are the way they are. For me, killings for whatever reason, I have worried, and anybody who does that should face the full rest of the law. There's no doubt about that. So I don't subscribe to the killing of anybody, either for blasphemy or for anything. But separation, I want you to study it carefully, because if a religion should form the basis of separation in this country, I can guarantee you it will come faster than you think. It will come faster than you think. But understanding each other, it was what is going to make us to progress in this country. Being combative and showing that probably from your safe zone, you can say anything, does not necessarily translate into what is the actual position of things on the ground. Sometimes when you come around and see things for yourself, you discover that where is this violence that people are talking about? Now, earlier on, somebody spoke about getting statistics of people that have been killed on the Muslim side and things like that. I just went to my library now. I brought statistics that I wanted to, but I believe that time is short for me to be able to, give out statistics of people that have been killed on the Muslim side in the northern part of the country. But for now, that may not be an issue. Maybe some subsequent meetings, I'll be able to do that. But then my last word is for those people who are seeking separation. Look deeply and study situations carefully before you talk about separation. Those bigger problems that you think exist on the national level now that will bring about separation, there are smaller problems in your enclaves that will gravitate into larger problems when you think you are gone and you are free. Thank you very much, and God bless everyone.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Shani, for your submission. So, guys, we're going to be rounding up in the next, I think we'll have about 18 minutes. So, whoever is speaking, let's be very mindful of time so we can pass the mic to those who want to contribute more. Mr. Solopenda, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mindset, for having me here. I just wanted to speak to what Ariwa said, spoke about earlier. And I find uncomfortable the position that he had taken, alluding to the fact that in the North, just respect the majority, don't offend the majority, because when you offend the majority, they can react in certain ways that cannot be controlled. That is a tacit approval for the kind of mob actions he sought to speak against. The intent of our laws is not that they rule the tyranny of the majority. The intent of Nigerian laws is for every Nigerian to be able to live comfortably in any part of the country. So when he says, don't offend them, because if you offend them, they may react in ways you cannot control. That is kind of an approval for the kind of actions that we have seen, and then it's about mutual respect for each other. When he in discussing, when he answered to me earlier, and when I asked him about his construction, whether saying Jesus is not the Son of God was blasphemous, he answered within the prism of his own understanding. But to a Christian, to say Jesus is not the Son of God in his own belief amounts to blasphemy. So it's just about people understanding each other. And then I think people should be able to have these conversations without getting irate unnecessarily. As people have pointed out, the much that the Deborah lady said was, please, this is a class academic group. Let's not bring religion here. But many times he said, and she did something wrong. Dispassionately looking at what she did, if you look at it, the mob is wrong. And when such has happened, the Supreme Court's position has been that those who did the murder are more culpable than even the person who is assumed to have blasphemed. Then let me also respond to the people who say the solution is to divide this country. As Mr. Sisani said eloquently, the solution is not a dissolution of this country. I think that's too simplistic, because anybody who thinks Nigeria is Christian South
and Muslim North does not understand the composition of this country. The idea that there is a Muslim North, it's a myth, because there are only few states that have this overwhelming majority of Muslims that people speak about. In every state in the North, there is at least a sizable population of non-Muslims who by right and by constitution have a right to exist. And the number is that our population census doesn't capture religious data. If not, the figures will show that in states like Borno, in states like Adamawa, in states like Nasarawa, in Benue, in parts of Kabi, there are sizable Christian populations. So I don't support in any guise or form that we should advocate for the splitting of this country. I know people are on edge, people are emotional about these issues, but Nigeria is so important, not just to ourselves, but to the African continent, that we owe it a duty to ourselves and to the black race, not just Africa, but the black race, to ensure that this country is kept alive and made to work. Because Africa looks up to us for leadership. Anything happening to Nigeria now affects Africa and affects the black world as it well. So people who say split it along religious line. I heard somebody say earlier, those who are Christians over there, they can come south. It's not that simple. It's not that easy. And the risk is this. If you don't understand, I stand to be corrected. But the problem is, now we're talking about the Christian genocide. But when Boko Haram started, people can dance around the issues all they care. The targeting started with Christians. And at that point, there were persons who were either quiet or acquiesced to what they were doing, who only started speaking up when the attacks started coming in-house. So if you're saying split it, let the Christians take care of themselves, I am telling you, what has happened in parts of Iraq would be child's play to what happened in Nigeria. There would be a targeted, systematic extermination of Christian populations. There will be a targeted, systematic extermination of some persons who are Christians. So we have this problem. It is our hope that they are solved. We're having these conversations, and it is important it's going on. But please, let splitting this country not be something we fantasize with ease, because it is more complicated than we look at it. Thank you very much, myself, for this opportunity, as always.
Thank you very much, Mr. Solopenja. Dan, you have the mic, please.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. And first, I agree for the fact that yes, if we want to look at Nigeria, like I always say, there's no country first. I have to agree that there will have to be a country, and we need to understand the arrangements of how that country can work. The current system that we're operating is a forceful one, and that's why anybody can tell you that you can disengage the system as it is. Secondly, Arewa said here that a Muslim person can determine to use another kind of law to determine the property. In Islamic law, unfortunately, Arewa does not even know the Islamic law as it is today. That's what I want to conclude with, because I have done reasonable work in Islamic law very well, and I can tell you very well that even as a Muslim, you died without writing your will, call it intestate. And at the end of the day, you die without writing your will, they will still determine your will according to your personal law, which is Islamic law. 2, if you die as a Muslim and you write your will, that will that you write is null and void to the extent of inconsistent. It is your personal law that will be used, an Islamic way of doing things they will use. Tell me, if a Muslim and you die and you have a child who was a Muslim and turned to maybe a Christian, that child cannot inherit your property as a Muslim. These are Islamic faith. I can bring all of them to you if you want me to do so right now. But because of the fact that he was saying something earlier that was not inconsistent with what the Islamic law is, that's what I just brought to him now. And finally, sir, he says, anytime we run away from the issues in Nigeria, the issue, my only prayer is that nobody dies among all of us here, and people will know dying for that reason. Nigeria have shed enough blood already. People have died enough already. People have died already in Nigeria enough that for us to start looking at what is the reason why people are being killed. If Muslims that are from the southwest are saying, even them are afraid of what's happening in the north, then and we're not looking at any war. And somebody saying it is working, the Islamic war is working, and we have 20 million children that are out of school. I say it is working. There's nothing is wrong with that thing that are working. Because if you have 20 million people that are out of school, who are not in school, and you tell me that that person is working, then you need to understand what working means again in Nigeria. So if you have children in Abuja, not even in Kano, not even Sokoto, in Abuja that do not have where they are going to, they don't have where they are coming from, young children that are like 10 years, 15 years, 13 years old, living around the state, around the whole capital, they are telling me that it is the Islamic law or the Sharia law is working. There's nothing is wrong with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nkai, you have the mic, sir.
Thank you, Mindset, for giving me the opportunity. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. You see, what I want to start in all this, that there is calculated and deliberate hypocrisy among the leaders and teachers of Islam in this country. Each time you raise facts and straight things that will bring life to the society and make things right, they will dodge it. They will be going around it. They will mask the truth. I mean, mask the real thing they're supposed to do. They will mask, let me say, mask hypocrisy with fear, threats, amongst other things. You see, this thing we are discussing here is the problem. I have heard Arewa spoke here. I heard Aruna Mohammed spoke the other day. I didn't put a question to him. How can you be talking about blasphemy in a secular society? For example, let me clear one or two things. Some people say that they abolish blasphemy in Christianity. Blasphemy is not abolished in Christianity. Let me make it clear to us today. There was no time. In fact, there's no freedom of speech in Christianity. Jesus said, our Lord Jesus said, every idle word that a man shall speak, he shall give account of it in the day of judgment. But what Christians do inside their worship centers is to teach their people how to be humble, how to be merciful, how to be kind, how to allow God to judge and not take judgment by themselves. Forgiveness, acceptance, and love is taught. And any church that fails to teach this has failed in the art of disseminating the gospel of Christ. When you enter into mosque, most times, if you are passing, you will hear Islamic leaders, their scholars, blowing up the mind of their listeners, radicalizing them, charging them up. It was in this country that a leader of this country, a military head of state, later became president twice, called people that he led dogs and baboons, that they will be soaked in blood. Where does this kind of spirit come from? Certainly, God we know, who is a kind and merciful God, cannot be that kind of worship. It cannot be that kind of people. And unless the Islamic society in this country go back home and recycle the mentality of those they teach, things are not going to get better. Religious thing is not about how educated you are. You may be a barrister, you may be a doctor, you may be a professor. You cannot understand it because it's a spiritual thing. So you cannot say that people that are worshippers in Islam are ignorant of the teachings of Islam, because if Islam, Muhammad himself was not a professor. So if he got his teaching through divine revelation, somebody will also understand that teaching even where he is not literate, he can still get that revelation from the spirit that gave Muhammad that revelation and be a nice human being. What do we see? It is what these people are being baptized with. It is what these people are being taught. And that's why it appears as if everybody is against you. No. Sorry. I think I've made my point and there's no more time. Let me round up. So what I want to say is, when the Islamic society in this country and the worshippers become sincere, they can recycle their people. But with all these things we are talking, there are lies, manipulations, dodging of facts, denial of truth, and using my religion to intimidate others. I rest my case.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nka, for your submission. Ariwa, you have the mic. We have exactly 4 minutes, so we can round up.
Yes, Marcel, thank you once again. I want to address some of the things that has been said, and I'll pick them at random from the ones I can recall. First, I want to say that issue of Deborah, there's a whole voice note that Deborah sent, and I'll urge those people on these spaces to try and listen to, because she spoke in Hausa in those voice notes. And if they are not fluent with Hausa, I think they should find a translator that will give them the actual translation of what she said. And Mr. Solo Penja made reference to me being, he said some kind of agreement with the people who carried out those activities. If you notice, we've been going around this conversation, and people have managed to avoid the most easiest way to just get out of the conversation. And the easiest way to just leave this conversation or stop these things from reoccurring is as simple as ABC. Just ask people not to blaspheme. You know, you said it's a constitutional right. People have a right to practice Islam in Nigeria. It's their religion, and there's freedom of religion. So we need to respect the fact that they have that freedom of religion as well, just like we said that people should have a constitutional right. Muslims also have a constitutional right as well. So the most important thing that people have avoided addressing is, we can just choose not to blaspheme. You can just choose to respect people's religion and not talk about it or not insult them and their beliefs. How is that difficult? Because of course, when you say these things to some people, how they tend to react is different from how others will react, especially when you are in their midst. You know, it's different when you say something from another side of the world, just on the internet or something, and there's a huge difference that when you are right there in front of them. I mean, that's the audacity. So people tend to avoid looking at it from a direction that, why not people should just respect the fact that this is how Muslims intend to practice Islam, this is their beliefs, and we should just allow them to do it like that. I don't think it's that difficult. It's the most mature thing and the right thing for anybody to do. So people only come here and defend things and what have you. It's not like that. Even we as Muslims, we have our own internal fracas. We are not perfect like in practice. I mean, not the religion, because Islam, of course, is perfect. But we as people, this is why the Prophet has always urged Muslims to attempt, because the exemplary life he left, he believes cannot be reciprocated by humans. So you are to attempt in practice things that he has done. So when you look at things from this direction, it is not a complex situation. The Nigerian constitution gives freedom of religion. So people who are Muslims are practicing Islam based on the backing of the constitution. that gives them the rights to be able to practice this religion. So it's important that we as well enlighten people to just stay out of things they don't understand, like trying to tell Muslims how to practice this religion or blaspheme in some way or insult. I think it would be better for everybody if we just let it go like that. It's already 3 a.m. I said, I yield.
All right, thank you very much, Oliver, for your submission. You said something, and then if somebody's finding the platform, it would appear that some persons who are saying that things have to change are not Muslim. But we have Mr. Kinjide here who say he's a Muslim, and we have Mr. Olu who as well said that he's a Muslim. So I want you to look at it from that angle. Not only those who are not Muslim are saying that these things have to change. There are Muslims here who have said that we practice this religion and we love our religion. We are not advocating to leave our religion, but what we are saying is things have to change. We must look inwards and find a way to, change things that has not worked for us, right? As a religion, I think it's very important you understand that. And there are those who believe that the right way to go about it is to divide the country. That is their own opinion, because sometimes it's difficult for people to continue to see that nothing has been done, right? The killing has not stopped. There's nothing to doing. And that's nothing that the government is doing to stop it. So they will come up with a solution. Rather being killed, why not just everybody go their way? But I do understand the point that Mr. King and Sai Sani and Solomon Benjamin, it's not as easy as it would appear that a lot of people think it is, right? So, but it's always a pleasure to have each and every one of you on this platform. Hopefully tonight, we'll probably be back tonight again. The interview by the foreign minister, or Minister of Foreign Affairs on Pierre Morgan says, so hopefully it would air tomorrow. That might be some of the things that we will discuss. But as I've said before in the last couple of days, it doesn't matter what is trending out there. It doesn't matter if somebody whatever is trending. This particular topic is what I'm interested in. So